All right, welcome into Chicago Bears Now. It is another Victory Monday live stream here on the channel as the Bears have won 7 out of 8 games. Let me repeat that, Bears fans. The Chicago Bears have won 7 out of 8 games after starting 0-2 and sit in first place in the NFC North heading into Week 12. What a time to be alive. We got a lot to get into here on today's show. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. And Cullen, 7 out of 8, first place. I think we'd all signed up for that through Week 11.
Comparatively to where the Bears were last year, no doubt about it. And you never really truly know. Like, we all have beliefs. We all have, like, hey, listen, we think Ben Johnson's going to be a good head coach. We think Caleb's going to, progress this way. And you never truly, know until obviously it happens. And now that we sit here on November 17th, 2025, the Chicago Bears, first place in the NFC North. It's kind of surreal to say, but it's happening. It's real.
7 weeks left is a long time, but we're, 58% through the season, 60%, whatever the math is. Like, they're in the mix. Like, they're in position to win this division. Now, whether or not they do that remains to be seen. Got a lot of tough games coming up 1 week at a time, but it's real in terms of the sense of, like, they have a real shot here. Now, kind of the theme of today's show, like, are the Bears for real? Are they not? Are they contenders? Are they pretenders? Go vote on the live poll on that one. But at minimum, this is a capable team. This is a team that's finding ways to win, and that's kind of the first step from being a bad team to a good team. It's like, okay, can you find ways to win games? Yes. I think the next step, I tweeted this out yesterday, is can you put teams away when you have a chance to? I don't think the Bears have done a great job of that just yet. So brick by brick, step by step, growth is happening here. We got Ricky in Nashville, Will in Oak Park. Lucas Prang says they'll end up 7-10. Love the positivity, Lucas, here on a Victory Monday. Those are things I love to hear.
He also says 100% pretenders. It's negative.
Look, I can hear if you want to say they're pretenders, but I just do not think this team's going to lose 7 games in a row. Like, if you told me they went 2-5 or 3-4 the rest of the way, like, I could see that scenario. But I just think the Bears have enough belief in themselves and in those tight moments that they're going to find a way to win some of these games. So, it's if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But the Bears are finding ways. I don't think they're all of a sudden going to collapse and lose 7 straight. Okay, we got a super chat from Jacob. What Bears players could make the Pro Bowl this year? It's a good question. Off the top of my head, guys that stand out, I would say Kevin Byard on defense, Tremaine Edmonds maybe. Especially, like a guy like Fred Warner being out for the year, like that NFC off-ball linebacker spot. I think Edmonds has played at a Pro Bowl level. Those are a couple of guys I would say on defense. I don't know if there's any other defenders I would point to. I think Darnell Wright's got a shot. Joe Thuney certainly has a shot. Maybe even a guy like Drew Dahlman. I don't know if any other offensive guys will, just because like it's kind of been like
Rome feels like it's stretched at this point.
Yeah, I just think there's just the production has kind of been spread out, right? Like, even Swift, he's going to have a nice year, but like Monangai is getting a lot of touches where it's just like the numbers aren't going to stack up probably. So those are a few. I think you could. I'd say a couple of the linemen and then Byard and Edmonds on defense have a shot. If TJ Edwards is playing healthy, or if he was healthy all year, I think when he has played, he's played very well. But yeah, a lot of your guys that you would normally point to, Jalen Johnson hasn't played. Kyler Gordon hasn't played much. You just haven't. I think guys have played it in all-pro level in stretches, or Pro Bowl level in stretches. Like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, since he joined the team, played like a Pro Bowler. Now, he's played 3 games, so he's obviously not going to make the Pro Bowl. But, I think the good news is, Cullen, is a lot of these guys are developing and playing well. So that's really the bigger focus, I would say.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's not necessarily, in terms of potentially who gets, accepted or nominated for the Pro Bowl. We'll wait and see. We still got a lot of season left, right? So I mean, there's still time for people to kind of make last second pushes, but I think those are about the right names. I would agree with too, and ultimately, I think for Bears fans, it's like, yeah, Pro Bowls and everything are cool, and especially to get recognized amongst other NFL players, but playoffs should be the main goal.
Yeah, no question. No question. Dennis, will we have money in the offseason to make any big splashes? Their cap room right now actually isn't that high, but there's a lot of maneuvering they could make. Coming into this year, it felt like Tremaine Edmonds was an obvious cut candidate, but now maybe he's an extension candidate that you use to lower his cap hit. I think that's something you could do. Could you extend Cole Kmet on a team-friendly deal to lower his cap hit? Do you cut or trade DJ Moore or restructure him to lower his cap hit? Do you keep DeAndre Swift? I'd be comfortable keeping him at his number with how he's played, for most of this season now. He's played really well since that first month where the run game was struggling. So they're going to have some, what is Montez Sweat's future with this team? I would say the way he's played recently, he's probably a guy you would keep, especially Dio Adingbo. When's he even going to be ready next year? You can't cut him. You're kind of just stuck with that situation. That's probably the worst contract when you just factor in everything on this team right now. So we'll see. I could see them also, a lot of those 2+1 contracts, Colin.
Yep.
A lot of those guys, you're probably comfortable saying, oh, we're going to keep them that third year. You could easily restructure next year because they're going to, Drew Dahlman, I think he's going to play out that 3-year contract. So you can restructure him. You could restructure a Joe Tooney or a Jonah Jackson if you're comfortable saying they're going to be here for that third year. So they have ways to create cap room. I don't think they're going to be a huge free agency team next year in terms of external guys. I think they'll figure out guys internal. Do you extend Darnell Wright? Do you bring back Kevin Byard? Is Jaquan Brisker a guy who comes back? What do you do with some big money guys on your team? Are you keeping them? Are you moving them? So those are all questions for the offseason, but it's a good problem to have because that means a lot of guys are playing well. So that's always a good thing. Emiliano, appreciate the 5. When the Bears make the playoffs, who is the number 1 team y'all would want to face first in the postseason? Okay, let's run through a couple scenarios. Do you have the playoff picture?
I can.
Cullen, let's throw that up.
Yep.
On the old screen here. Let's kind of run through if they win the division, some potential opponents, and then if they're a wild card. Let's just say they're the 2 or the 3 seed. If they win the division, they're probably going to be the 3 would be my guess because the way Tampa's playing, it kind of feels like the NFC South winner will be that 4 seed. So Let's just say they win the division, they're the 3 seed. You're probably looking at one of Green Bay, San Francisco, one of the 3 NFC West teams, Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, or Detroit. Or Green Bay.
I was going to say. Small chance. I know you're not the biggest believer in them, but just for the sake of saying this, Carolina is
the only reason I would say not Carolina is because that's probably only if you get the 2 seed. I think if Carolina makes the playoffs, they're almost certainly the 7.
I mean, if they beat San Francisco on Monday night, they're kind of in the thick of things. Again, it's not a likely option. I'm not saying.
I just think if they make it, getting to the 6, they'd have to leapfrog Detroit, San Francisco, Green Bay.
Just a couple
maybe.
of them. Maybe. That's what I'm saying. It's
look, that's the answer.
Yes.
Right? If you somehow could draw Carolina.
Right.
That would, especially at home, Bryce Young in cold, windy conditions. Listen, the kid played well yesterday. I'm not saying he's a complete disaster, but I don't love his game in elements.
Right.
Smaller quarterback. That would be probably the dream scenario. I think San Francisco, if you could get them at home, is another one. Brock Purdy in the elements. They have a lot of injuries. I know they have a lot of experience, but I think that's a matchup you would take your chances in. I don't love the idea of playing Detroit 2 weeks in a row. You'd play them week 18, play them again. I know
you'd be Minnesota from last year that had to do that, play the week 18, and then immediately.
Well, no, they played the Rams in the playoffs.
No, that's right. Yeah, I mixed them up. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yes.
The dream would be Carolina. Realistically, I would say probably the 49ers, just with the amount of injuries they have, if you get them at home. Now, if you're a wild card team and it flips, I think probably you would just want to take your chances with Tampa if they're the 4 seed. You know, I would lean Tampa if they're healthy in that game, down in Tampa especially, but I don't think they're some unbeatable team. They've been in a bunch of close games.
Yeah, let us know down in the chat.
I think the worst scenario, Colin, is on the road in Detroit. Okay. I think that is a bad matchup for the Bears, indoors against the Lions. Now, if Jalen Johnson's back, that changes things a little bit, but the Bears receivers or the Bears corners against the Lions receivers on an indoor track historically has not been a good matchup. Tyreek Stevenson has not played well against Detroit. I think they would pick on him just like they did in week 2. Now, got this weird Dan Campbell play calling thing going on, but I think that is the worst outcome other than I guess the Rams on the road too would not be great if that was 2-7. But
Bears fans could also travel well and take over that stadium.
True. That is true. But if it's Seattle on the road, that's 2 relatively inexperienced playoff teams, Seattle and Chicago.
Yep.
Eagles on the road would obviously be tough. But at least the one benefit you'd have is you had already played them on the road this season. But yeah, I think those are some of the ones. Dream scenario, Carolina at home. That's a long shot. Most realistic scenario, if you win the division, is getting San Francisco at home. That would probably be, as weird as that sounds, because they won a bunch of big games. But in the elements against a beat-up 49ers team, I think you would at least have a shot. You'd have a shot.
It wouldn't be the same San Francisco 49ers team that we've known over the last, half decade or so, which, by the way, let us know down in the chat which team you want or what would you rather play. Eliminate Carolina because I think that's the obvious answer, but any team in the NFC that's above 500, so Detroit and up, basically.
I'd take my chances with the Packers, too, home or away. I think the Bears showed last year they matched up well with Green Bay. I don't think a ton, personnel-wise, would change that. I think this, as weird as it sounds, given how dominant Green Bay's been in this rivalry, I think this Bears team is actually built to match up. I'd much rather play the Packers than the Lions. I just think the Bears match up better with Green Bay. Good question, though, Emiliano. Austin, I don't know if people realize this, but the Bears in 2018 beat the Vikings to get to 7-3, and the Bears in 2025 beat the Vikings to get to 7-3. I did not realize that, Austin, but are you saying 12 wins incoming? Hopefully you're not saying double doink in the first round incoming. But it's a fun fact, Austin. Did not know that, at least off the top of my head. Depressed Bears fan. Chicago controls its own destiny. Let's see if they are up to the challenge. Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be, I think a challenge is a good word. It's going to be a challenge. I mean, these playoff predictors, Vegas, they still have the Bears as the 3rd team in the division. And there's some reason to understand why that's the case, right? I mean, I think the ceilings of Detroit and Green Bay are probably higher than the Bears. The Bears haven't had the toughest schedule, obviously. So, it's understandable. But at the same time, listen, if you're the Bears, you just keep taking this thing 1 week at a time, keep finding ways to win games, and you control what you can control. So, it's going to be interesting. The whole control your own destiny. You got 7 games left. I don't think Chicago's going 7-0 the rest of the way. The question, Colin, would be 7 games left. How many wins does it take to win the North? Does 5-2 get? I think 12-5 probably wins the division. Do you win 5 out of 7?
So
especially depending on who you beat, right? I mean, let's say you win 2 out of 3 against Green Bay and Detroit.
Yeah. So here's the standings again, just so people can see the visual.
If you go 5-2, you'd be 12-5. That means Green Bay, to be better than you, would have to go 6-1 to get to 12-4-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Detroit would have to go 6-1 to get to 12. I think 12 wins this division.
Okay.
Given
which side might, I mean.
Now, I'm not saying the Bears are going to get to 12. I'm just saying, I think if you're saying, hey, how many wins do you feel confident in would win the NFC North? I think 12-5 gets it done. Does 11-6? I think that's when you're probably talking tiebreaker scenarios there. Does the tie make the difference there for Green Bay? I could see a scenario where the Bears are 11-6 and Green Bay is 11-5-1, and they win the division, right? So that could be a scenario that plays out. Detroit in there as well, obviously. So we'll see. I think if you get to 12, you're winning the division. If you get to 11, it's probably 40-60, 50-50. Like if it probably depends on who you beat, right? Like if you go 4-3 the rest of the way, go 11-6, but 2 of those 4 wins are against the Packers and the Lions, then maybe that's enough. Maybe 11-6 gets you there. So
maybe
it'll be interesting. Jackson, Monangai over Swift at RB1, not based on yesterday. I think we gotta we don't need to have an RB1 debate. They both have roles. Ben Johnson has said, based on who's having the hot hand, based on who's having more success, that's who they'll lean on more. They're both going to play. I think that played out yesterday, Colin. They were alternating series a lot, and then down the stretch, they rode Swift because they were having more success with him out there.
Yeah. I just
think
think
that might flip other games.
They also just provide different skill sets that I think, again, depending on the situation / to your point, who has the hot hand, I think they both could have, really productive roles in this offense.
For sure.
And
they have. We've seen that.
Yeah, I think Swift, listen, I mean, he's a very experienced NFL running back. He's got the home run ability. He's got the ability to switch directions still at his age.
Dude, his cutback game this year, the last 5 or 6 weeks, it's been really impressive.
Yep. And then you've got, obviously, Monangai, who you probably trust more, between the tackles. He's lower to the ground, center of gravity, I would say, compared to Swift, and he really does push the pile at times whenever it's fighting for those extra 2-3 yards. So, yeah, I think they're both going to be productive pieces for the rest of the season.
Both are averaging 4.7 a carry. I mean, they're both having equal amounts of success in terms of the bulk of the season is concerned. John, contenders, not Super Bowl, maybe playoffs, but also I don't think we are pretenders like the Steelers who are going to lose in the wild card no matter what. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Steelers are interesting. They're very Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks they look awesome. Other weeks they look terrible. I mean, they beat the Colts a couple weeks ago. They lost to the Bengals earlier this year. Then they destroyed the Bengals yesterday with Mason Rudolph for a good chunk of that game. So it's which Steelers are you getting? I do think Pittsburgh has figured some things out on defense. They were kind of stuck in the mud there for a while, but Kyle Duggar's been a good addition for them. They've done a better job at stopping the run, so we'll see if the Bears can continue to have success on the ground. But, yeah, I mean, I think that first line there, contenders, not Super Bowl, but maybe I think that's probably fair. I do think the Bears have a really good shot at making the playoffs. I'm still not there in terms of saying this team could go to the Super Bowl this year. Now, on the flip side, you tell me, Cullen, who's just a complete dominant force in the NFC? Now, I do think the Rams, Eagles, and Seahawks specifically are ahead of the Bears right now, but Philadelphia has major issues offensively. They have some O-line injuries. The Rams, as good as they are, have issues in their secondary. They picked off Sam Darnold 4 times and still almost lost that game. Seattle might be the most complete team, but what if Darnold just has a Darnold game, right? The Packers are very similar to Seattle, where it's which Jordan Love are you getting? Are you getting the MVP one like Sam Darnold, or are you getting the disastrous one? So, none of these teams are indestructible.
Listen, you make some solid points. I still think the Rams are the number 1 team by far.
I mean, they should have beat the Eagles, too.
They should have. They 100% should have.
They dominated that game and just kind of
look. And I get that you're saying the secondary is not the greatest. They've got some pieces there where, again, there's no standout guys. They don't have Jalen Ramsey. They don't have, Eric Weddle, all these guys that they've had in the past.
Forbes has actually been decent.
Forbes has been decent. They just traded for Roger McCreary. I'm blanking on their...
Kitchens has been pretty solid.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid. Here's the thing. When you've got the front seven the Rams do, and again, I'm not just saying this because obviously they won yesterday, I think the Rams, with the combination of Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams, with Kyron Williams running the ball that he is, they're situationally, I think, one of the better teams also in the NFL, whereas Philly, I can't trust them offensively week to week. And then again, with Seattle, it's which version of Darnold are you getting, to your point? And, their best win for, and I'm saying this as a Seahawks fan, is pretty much against Pittsburgh. So, how good of a team are they? Yep. I think the Rams are the clear favorite, in my opinion, to win the NFC. We'll see if that changes over the course of, the season. But I do think the Bears, you could make the argument, because I'll ask you all in the chat, too, to kind of weigh in. You see the NFC playoff picture on your screen right now. If you had to rank the Bears, neutral field playing against everybody, where they stack up in the NFC, where are you ranking them as of right now?
If I'll do this. Yeah, you guys answer that. If I was tiering the NFC right now, today, this second, I would have the Rams, Eagles, and Seahawks in the top tier, with Seattle not like in the bottom part of that tier. The second tier, I think I would have the Bears in it with Detroit, Green Bay, healthy Tampa, I would put in that tier, and San Francisco. And then it's just the teams on the outside looking in. The 49ers, if they were healthy, I think the fact that they're 7-4 with that many injuries, if they were mostly healthy, I'd put them in the top tier. I think Shanahan and Saleh have done that good of a job. I think all things equal, the Bears are probably about the 7th team in the NFC. But I also don't think the gap between 4 and 7 is that much. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's fair.
If you told me the Bears played the Bucs in a playoff game and beat them, I wouldn't be like, that's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably pick Tampa to win, but
I will also say with Tampa, they haven't been fully healthy for it feels like a while now. I mean, they still haven't got Mike Evans back. They're hoping to get Bucky and Chris Godwin back to go pair along with Emeka Buka. Obviously, defensively in the secondary, you want to talk about a team that's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the Bucs are getting gashed every week.
Even when they were healthier earlier in the year, they were in all these tight games. So, yeah, I mean, I was high on Tampa coming into the year. I still think if they're healthy, they could be a major contender, but I have cooled on them a little bit. Okay, Mr. Big Fella, do you think an elite edge makes this a Super Bowl contender? I think this offseason, if you got a legitimate pass rusher, and I'll just call it an upgrade at left tackle. You don't need an all-pro. You've got 4 really good offensive linemen, left guard to right tackle. If you got the 15th best left tackle in the NFL, there's not a ton of weaknesses on this team if you add those two things. Really. I mean, you're not going to be stout at every position. Now, there's other little questions you have to answer. What does safety look like next year? Is the cornerback position in a good spot? If all are healthy, in theory, the answer is yes. You're going to have questions like that on every roster throughout the league. But if they added a big-time pass rusher and just a solid left tackle, I don't know if that's even possible. Who are you getting as a big-time pass rusher? Even if you draft someone, how many rookie pass rushers just dominate? It's as good as Jared Verse was last year. He had 4.5 sacks. It's hard to just jump into the league and be a dominant pass rusher. Is there someone you can find via trade or free agency? I don't know. Would you bring in a Trey Hendrickson on a 1-year deal if his market kind of cools? Maybe. I think those are the biggest missing ingredients right now is a big-time pass rusher and a better left tackle.
Which one would you prioritize more?
I think pass rusher.
You think so?
Because this offense is still generating explosives with a well below average pass protector at left tackle. I think having Tooney next to that person really helps. You have tight ends that can block. So I think I would pick a pass rusher.
Let me ask you this then. Let me kind of modify the question. If I told you, okay, this upcoming free agency, the Bears could do one of two paths. Either they add a solid offensive tackle, basically they just kind of realize hey, Theo Benedict's not the answer. They're willing to kind of pivot, and they just want a starter at left tackle that they feel confident in. And then they draft an edge rusher that is going to develop, but is going to develop to relatively really good level. Maybe not elite level, but potentially a Red, for example.
Montez Sweat.
Or something, right, in that realm. Or would you flip it? Would you rather be able to add maybe a pass rusher that's kind of solid, and then you draft a left tackle that could potentially develop into a Red?
That's a good question. I'd probably rather draft and develop a left tackle, if I'm being honest, just because, you've already invested into every other O-line position. You're going to have to pay Darnell Wright, so, having 5 expensive veteran or offensive line, that's why really the dream scenario is just, can Darnell flip and Ozzie play right, or can Ozzie just be, can he be a top 20 left tackle? Can he be a little bit better than the best version of Braxton Jones we saw and this current version of Theo Benedict? I don't think you need an all-pro over there. I think Caleb's sack avoidance, you don't need perfect blindside protection. but you need better than Theo Bennett long term. I think
agree.
both those things are true. So I'd probably rather draft and develop a left tackle and then find some like short-term contract edge rusher in the draft, and then maybe day 2 of the draft a pass rusher. But again, it's all hypothetical, like who's on the board,
Right, 100%.
what kind of offensive tackle draft versus edge rusher draft is this. It sounds like it's a better defensive draft than offensive draft, at least early on in the process. So it's interesting. We'll see.
Someone just asked if we're live. Can't confirm. We are live.
We are live. Alex, it is surreal that we are leading the North. It's pretty amazing, dude. I mean, this is a good division. The Bears have been in some wild games. They've been on the right side of them for once. So, soak it up, man. I mean, listen, I don't know if this team's going to win the division, but there's a chance. Like that, the fact that you're sitting here with the chance. I wanted to be sitting here at this point in the season with like, hey, I want a shot to be a wild card team. Now, again, this isn't even a guarantee the Bears are in the playoffs. They're 7-3, and the 7 seed is 7-4. So, like, Detroit just found out you lose one game, you can go from the 3 seed to out of the playoffs. That's how tight it is right now in the NFC. But it's exciting, man. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So
Feel free to take a screenshot of what's on your screen. I mean, listen, enjoy it, right? Like, it's not the end, but right now, the Bears. So
you're more than halfway, and you're in the 3 seed.
I was going to ask you this too. When was the last time the Bears were at one point first in the NFC North? Like, how long has it been since they were?
I'd have to double check, but outside of like being 1-0 or whatever,
Right? Like somewhere like obviously
at least into October. In 2020, they were 5-1, so I'd have to check where the other NFC North teams were. But then they lost 6 in a row. So I would guess that season.
People in the chat are saying 2018.
I mean, for sure, 2018 they won the division that year.
I'm just saying, like, ranked first in the NFC North at any point during the season.
Like Eberflus's first year, they were 1-0, so technically,
right? No,
but yeah, outside of like that,
yes.
I'd have to double check 2020. A lot of people saying 2018. Maybe another NFC North was 6-0 or 5-1 in 2020, so technically the Bears weren't. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long, long while. Okay, we got Kyle. How huge is that San Francisco game looking now? It's pretty big, man. I think there's a world where that winner makes the playoffs, loser doesn't. It's absolutely on the table. So getting this Minnesota win was huge. You know, we said you probably got to go at least 4-4 in the final 8 to make the playoffs. Well, you're 1-0. So if you go 3-4, got a pretty good shot. If you go 4-3 now, you got. I mean, if you're 11-6, it don't make the playoffs. I mean, I just talk about incredibly unlucky. So, yeah, I mean that San Francisco game, Sunday Night Football, is going to be massive. Anthony, how do you think Jonah Jackson has played? I remember he started off bad, but eye test says he's been solid. Also, Dahlman. Yeah, really good. I think all 4 guys, left guard to right tackle, for the most part, have been very good. Now, you know, yesterday I thought Flores did a good job of generating pressures. He also blitzed 78% of the time. I mean, that is just psycho behavior.
Insane.
Caleb actually graded well against the blitz, by the way. He graded out better against pressure than not yesterday. They could catch a couple more balls, that would help. But, hey, Vikings were dropping passes too. Can't complain too much. Jaxo, Bears, Eagles, Black Friday is massive. Also, the national media and playoff implications. If we win, it proves that this team can handle contenders. Yeah, you go into Philadelphia and win, that's going to send shockwaves through the NFC.
Yes.
No question about it.
No question about it. I'm actually pulling up the Bears schedule right now because obviously, like, if the Bears beat the Eagles, by far, that's your best win of the season.
And it probably will be your best win of the season, bar,
right.
The Green Bay, one of the Green Bay ones, the Detroit one could matter more in terms of winning the division. But, yeah, I mean, if you go into Philadelphia on a short week and beat the Eagles, that's that's a statement win.
Because what would you argue is your best win of the year so far, in your opinion?
Probably the one you just got.
Yeah, against the Vikings, like avenging week 1.
Look, you can't. The schedule's the schedule, you know. You can take that both ways. On the negative side, you can be like, they haven't beaten anybody. On the positive side, you can be like, well, you don't make the schedule. So, like, it's not.
It's true.
This is why, and, like, we said it before the season, Bears have one of the hardest schedules coming in. And down the stretch, they do. But, like, you just never know how these seasons are going to play out. Like, the opposite was true last year. Going into the season, the strength of schedule was super weak. Ended up being the 4th hardest schedule. this year, so far, it's been one of the easiest, but it now turns into one of the hardest. So you don't apologize for winning. You take every game as it comes while acknowledging you'll probably have to be a little bit more consistent to beat some of these teams coming up. So,
it's crazy, though, because, again, depending on if that man in Pittsburgh that everyone here is very familiar with, if he plays, again, I understand that he might be dealing with a wrist injury. You beat the Steelers, that's your best win, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. Steelers are winning their division. They've played a lot better defensively recently.
Yes.
If Rodgers plays, even if Rudolph plays, if he plays like he did this is probably another, kind of like the Vikings last week, it's probably a coin flip game. It's going to come down to a handful of plays and some key moments, and you got to do it. You got to make more of those plays than they do.
But it's also leading to the fact that, as a team and as just, Rush, because these players, right, they understand, there's certain teams that are better than others. So if you're able to beat Pittsburgh and to really kind of establish yourself, that'll give them a lot of confidence going into Philadelphia.
Dude, you beat Pittsburgh. That Philly game, you should just be incredibly loose. That is a house money game. You could lose by 50, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. Now, you don't want to lose by 50, but you get my point. You win the first two in this 8-game stretch to finish the year. You can just let it rip in Philadelphia. So if they could somehow beat Pittsburgh, that would be massive.
100%.
Okay, we got Dennis. Once we get Jalen Johnson, Kyler, TJ, I think we get into A tier. I mean, defensively, this team has a chance to be really good if they get all their key pieces back. Now, there's nothing they can really do to generate a consistent pass rush with their front four. They just don't have the dudes. They have guys who win sometime.
Bears news. Commanders signed Jake Moody off the Bears practice squad.
No way.
Wow.
That sucks.
Ooh. You want me to hold it down while you make it short real quick? That is okay. That's unfortunate. Jake Moody.
So he beats the Commanders and then joins the Commanders. Wow. By the way, my reaction isn't even an anti-Cairo Santos one. I just thought he'd have a chance to compete for the job next year. Now, Moody is, I assume it's just it's a 1-year prorated deal. So I guess in theory you could bring him back this offseason. But that's a bummer, man. I'm actually going to do this live. Can we just see if Durham can – let me message here.
Sure.
Here, you want to answer a couple super – you guys react in the chat. Cullen can react with you guys. How do you guys feel about Jake Moody getting claimed? And Dennis, I agree. If they get these pieces back, as far as A tier, I don't know, but I think they definitely jump up a peg or two if their guys get back and stay healthy.
Yeah. Harry will kind of communicate. We're going to kind of do this live for you guys, so you get to see how the sausage is made. What's your guys' one-word reaction to Jake Moody being signed to the Commanders? I see Matthews coming in with a bummer. Sayamak saying disappointed. Caleb says, damn, disappointing from Chris. Sucks from Zach. Fine with it from Howard. Listen, it's one of those things where you kind of, to Harry's, and I don't want to speak for him, obviously, but you kind of just had it at least in your back pocket where it's if Cairo just goes south, which I'm not saying he would or he wouldn't have, but Moody had something that Cairo Santos just simply didn't have, which was the leg to kick from distances that Cairo just simply couldn't reach.
Yeah, I'm more bummed from a next year standpoint. Look, Cairo's got his flaws, whatever. I have said it, and he has missed a couple this year. He normally doesn't. But, he's been a very steady kicker for the Bears. But he's in his mid-30s now. So, I just thought that maybe there was a silent handshake of, hey, stick around on our practice squad. We'll give you a real shot to compete for the job next year. So, good for Moody. He's got a chance on a low-pressure team now to go earn a permanent job. That is a bummer. Yeah. I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 2-week stretch was awesome, but like it is a relatively small sample size. But yeah, I just thought he would someone says money talks. And look, Jake Moody probably looks at that. The Commanders have had a lot of different kickers in recent years. If he goes and kicks well the next 6-7 weeks, he's probably their guy going into next year. So I can't blame him. But Washington, Jake. The Washington Commanders. Is your like internet being slow? Because mine is being so slow.
I'm good on my end.
Okay. All right. I see Durham's now. All right.
Is that just too long? Sorry.
Let's add this into the first segment too. You want to just make that social?
Yep. In fact,
Just
actually,
after the weigh-in too, I'll just hit it real quick.
Yeah, I'll add it. You can do this short whenever. You said after the weigh-in too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just hit it real quick, then get into the other stories.
Okay. Let me grab this here.
All right. Let's do this real quick, and then you can get it made. Or I guess I can just start.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. You can.
All right,
whenever.
Colin's doing that behind the scenes. Quick reaction to Jake Moody getting poached off of the Bears practice squad. All right, we got some breaking news. The Washington Commanders have poached Bears practice squad kicker Jake Moody as he heads to D.C. to be their kicker, presumably for the rest of the season. Kind of a bummer, right? I kind of thought that Jake Moody going into next season would have a chance to compete with Cairo Santos for the starting kicker position next year. I don't think it's the end of the world for this year. I think clearly the Bears with their actions have shown Cairo's their guy for now, but with Cairo being in his early mid-30s, with him having limited leg strength, I just thought, hey, keep Jake Moody around if he's willing to stay on the practice squad and let those two guys duke it out for next year. I'm not going to throw a huge fit about it. It was a small sample size, but in those 2 weeks, he kicks pretty darn well. So good for Jake Moody. He's got a chance to go earn a permanent job, and it's kind of ironic. The team he beat and kind of helped derail Washington's season is now the team he joined. So Jake Moody to Washington. Be sure to subscribe and follow for more Bears content. All right, boom. My computer is being so slow.
Okay. If you need me to.
It's just like I got it sent, but like when I'm typing, it's like a 1997 Windows. It's just like I'm seeing it being typed out 3 seconds later.
Yeah.
All right, there's the news. Tommy Pelissero, Jake Moody to the Commanders' active roster after they cut Matt Gay earlier today.
Yeah. Just kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Not going to make it more than what it is, but I don't think it's a nothing burger either. I think it's, we'll find out over time if it's some massive missed opportunity, but it is what it is, as the kids say. So, unfortunate. Jake, what is your confidence in the Bears versus the Eagles? We're 2 weeks away. I'm going to go 4.7. I'm mildly optimistic. Philadelphia's defense has really ramped it up, but that offense doesn't scare me that much. I think the Bears can get into like a knuckle fight with that team and have a chance late. Philadelphia's got the championship pedigree. They're obviously very good, but they have some O-line injuries right now. Saquon's not having as good of a year, so I don't view that as some impossible task if they were to beat Philadelphia. Would I bet on it? No, but that doesn't mean it's some game you got no shot in either. So 4.7 out of 10. I think there's a decent chance they could win that game.
The more I watch Philadelphia's offense, the more confident I get.
It's just not creative. Like, obviously they have good players, but like they don't do motion really. They don't run a lot of play action.
I think, and listen, people will sit there and obviously talk about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and, all that. I think one of the more underrated moves this offseason was the Eagles losing Kellen Moore. I think he has proven to be a pretty good play caller in New Orleans. Spencer Rattler's had moments of...
He's gotten good production out of both quarterbacks.
Yeah, and him and Shuck. And look, I mean, Kellen Moore, you can say what you want about him in terms of an offensive mind and, certain situations. This Eagles offense is not even close to what they were last year when they won the Super Bowl. And he's done a pretty solid job given what he's had in New Orleans. If they could get a quarterback in Nola, they could be potentially a frisky team next year. But, yeah, the Eagles, it's one of those things where, again, whenever you don't replace your coordinator from last year, I've said this with the Lions and Ben Johnson, like the further you get away from having kind of that established, kind of identity / play caller, and if you don't have one that's, ready to kind of take the next role, the worse the offense looks.
Yeah.
So,
no question.
Yeah. Credit to Kellen Moore. We also
got here Cornelius. We'll rip through some more supers, then we'll hop into our news segment. The key for the Bears is with stickier coverage from our DBs that are coming back and the pass rush get home, because I think we have the weapons on O. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the Bears are kind of built the opposite way of how most teams would want to build. They're built outside in defensively. Fully healthy, their secondary is excellent. They have a really good cover safety in Kevin Byard. Jaquan Brisker can be hit and miss, but he's a solid box safety. Obviously, you have a good roamer, versatile piece in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Same with Kyler Gordon. Jalen Johnson on the outside. Tyreek Stevenson and Nashawn Wright as your second outside corner. Like, you feel at least pretty solid about that, even if it's not perfect. And then you have two really good linebackers in T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. So, like, from a back seven standpoint, when fully healthy, you're not going to find much better in the NFL. The problem is their pass rush is pretty limited. And, even elite secondaries can only cover for so long, which is why Dennis Allen has to blitz some, which you can blitz even more when some of these secondary pieces come back because you feel good about the coverage holding up. So, yeah, if they can get those secondary pieces back, I'm not saying it's going to be an elite unit, but I do think it can be a consistent top half of the league unit if that's the case.
I would agree. And again, this team has not hit their stride yet on, I'd say, either side of the ball. And
certainly not in the third phase.
Very true.
Although they made a big play late. Two big plays, the return and the kick. So
yeah, and I think the Bears, they have a real potential here as their schedule ramps up to really show their kind of best potential, and they're going to get tested. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think Bears football is only going to get better as they get healthier and they get more acclimated. I truthfully do. Yeah. I honestly hope Devin Duvernay carries that momentum over just,
I will give Hightower credit. They found something on film clearly with that, I don't know there's probably a term for it, but with that, wide, return in one corner and get the wide angle return. They ran it twice. They ran it with Blackwell, and he almost popped it, and he got tripped up at about the 30, and they ran it again, and it won him the game.
Yep.
So, it's not like Richard Hightower is just a clueless football coach. His unit just hasn't been consistent. And when special teams is bad, I feel like more than the other two units, it's easier to blame the coach because it's if the receiver drops the football, it's catch the football. If a defender gets lost in coverage, sure, there could be a coaching error, but it's you did the wrong thing there. If you miss a tackle, right? Special teams, it's if something goes poorly, it's just kind of easy to blame the coach. So, it is what it is. Roast beef, feel good about this team. Every team has struggled. Yeah, it's an interesting year in the NFL. Again, there's a few teams at the top that are better than the rest, but it's kind of the year of what's going to happen this year? Are the Chiefs even going to make the playoffs in the AFC? Right now, the Chiefs and the Ravens would not be in the playoffs, and going into the year, they were two of the top four betting odds favorites to win the Super Bowl. So I think Baltimore is clearly going to rally and win the division here. I still would bet on the Chiefs making it, but long way to go here. It's not. It doesn't feel like it's just one or two teams or bust. Like it feels like if anybody could lose if they have an off game in the postseason.
100%.
Posey, guys, I would say this year in the NFL, you can't point to a team you can say, wow, they are good. So what the Bears are doing is what most teams are doing. So I think we should be happy with our team. Well, I think we should be happy regardless of what the other teams are doing, regardless of what kind of has been the theme of the NFL this season. The Bears are 7-3 and in first place through 11 weeks in the season. Regardless of how that has happened, we should be happy. Now, doesn't mean we can't criticize things. Doesn't mean we can't be frustrated when you let a team hang around when you're like one play away for an hour of putting them away. But, yes, all in all, Bears fans should be very happy with this season, especially given what we've dealt with for years. Jacob, we're pretenders for now. Granted, those comebacks have been amazing. It's not feasible. Caleb knows that. Coaches know that. All of Chicago knows that. I'll call us contenders if we beat Philadelphia and Green Bay twice. Well, I mean, okay. I think if you went 2-2 against those two in Detroit, like that's pretty impressive. Like if you beat all them 3 times, it's like, yeah, I'd say they're contenders. If they sweep Green Bay and win in Philadelphia, I think the conversation changes a lot. It's like, okay, how good is this team actually? Like at that point, I hear what you're saying though. Like currently, you could certainly debate contenders, pretenders. I think there's levels of contention, right? Like I would not say this is a Super Bowl contender currently, but they're certainly a playoff contender. And I think if they got the right draw, they could win a playoff game. And that's multiple steps you've taken this year if that ends up being the case. So, Matt Stone, opinion on Browns, Packers, Niners stretch. They all seem winnable. Do you think Caleb can outlast the defense's make or break stretch? Yeah, I mean, I think every game's pivotal at this point, right? You know, you lose a game, you could go from the 3 seed to out of the playoffs. That's how much it changes. We saw that this week. Bears won, went from the 7 seed to the 3 seed. Lions lost, went from the 3 seed to out of the playoffs. So every week in the NFC, it's a battle. It's a winnable stretch. It's also a losable stretch, including the Browns. Guys, Myles Garrett is like giving the Browns a chance to win most weeks by himself. Like I think this is probably the most underappreciated individual season on an irrelevant team that we've maybe ever seen. I mean, the Browns are a joke, and he's got 15 sacks. I mean, yesterday, Colin, he is just controlling the game as a defensive player.
Right.
You know how hard that is?
Very
It's kind of like, remember the Raiders game when for a quarter and a half, it's like Max Crosby is controlling the game? Myles Garrett has done that like 6 times this year. It's incredible what this guy is doing, and I am terrified at the idea of Myles Garrett against Theo Benedict. Like, let's bring 13 personnel out, Benny, because the only way you lose that game is if Myles Garrett destroys you, and he is very capable of doing it.
He's very capable. If you want to check Slack real quick, I can read this next super chat. It says, my prediction coming into the season was 9-10, wins being a fringe or just making the wild card. But now being 7-3, anything other than the playoffs would be disappointing. Yep, listen, predictions kind of like that change. And I think for the Bears fans, I think it's a reasonable expectation to expect playoffs at this point. Obviously, they've got to get it done towards the end of the season here, and they're in the mix, no doubt about it. So I think that's 100% right from where we were beginning of the season. I mean, I forget how many wins I had the Bears winning before the season, but 11 wins is not off the table. It's not.
No, it's not.
So
it's not at all. Jay Kyle, I did see a comment in the chat about the Rome helmet. Edov actually ended up being the MVP. So did just want to communicate that. So he was the winner of that item. So did want to make that clear on that front. Jay with the 2. Yay, we're stuck with Santos. Yeah, look, I think the negativity around Cairo has probably been a bit much. He's still a solid kicker. To me, this is more disappointing long term, just because I have no idea if Jake Moody's going to be a good kicker long term. But I would have liked to see him be on this roster in the offseason and go compete for a job. I'm guessing the Commanders called Jake Moody's agent, said, "You want to come kick for us?" Moody and his agent probably called the Bears. And, the Bears could have put him on the active and had 2 kickers on the 53, but, there's risks that come with that as well. That means you're thinning yourself out at another position. So I think it just, time will tell. We'll find out if not choosing him this year hurts you long term. But I think it's a tougher call than us on the outside want to say.
If Santos,
I was just hoping Moody would kind of choose to stick around, but he probably evaluated that situation, Colin, as
I get to be a kicker again.
yeah, they're having a bad year. I can be a full-time guy. They've cycled through a lot of kickers. If I kick well for 6 weeks, I could be their guy moving forward. And, Washington, and he's probably looking at this too, in theory, they could be a good team next year. So it's a bummer, but,
If Santos would have missed that kick at the end of the game.
Sounds crazy, but, do they put Moody on the 53?
I mean, that's the thing.
In this exact scenario?
It's crazy to think what a turn of events that kick could have as a butterfly effect down the line if he had made it versus he missed it.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're asking me would I have rather him missed it, no. But you do wonder. You do wonder. Daily basis, can't be the only one who thought Moody looming over his shoulder was making Cairo kick better. No guarantees Moody stays consistent for us, though. Yeah, I mean, look, for 2 weeks he was great. He won us a game. Listen, that practice squad pickup was worth it. Even though he's gone now. He won you a game. A high leverage game. You lose to Washington, you fall to 2-3, who knows? So, still job well done by the Bears. Again, we'll find out long term if this is some massive missed opportunity, but,
Excuse me.
I don't think you have to put blind faith in the Bears on this one, but I don't think you have to freak out about it either. Lane, do we draft a kicker now that Moody's gone? I'm not really team draft kickers unless it's the 7th round.
UDFAs.
Yeah, bring in someone else if you want them to compete with Cairo. I would like to, from here on out, to at least bring in competition year to year while Cairo is here. So, yeah, we'll see what that looks like this offseason. John Dorman, anyone on our staff you see getting poached? Yeah, I got this question last week, or maybe it was in postgame the other day.
I think it was. He's back.
I mean, I think some guys that to keep an eye on long term, Declan Doyle, could he get a play calling OC offer this offseason or maybe next offseason? Antoine Randall as either an OC or I think, in the future could be a dark horse head coach candidate. He's highly regarded in the league. Another one I didn't mention the other day, Al Harris. I mean, what he's done with Nashawn Wright and some of these guys in the set. I mean,
Stevenson for stretches.
You lead the NFL in takeaways, and you have the top 3 interception guys in the NFL. You would think he's going to get some DC looks pretty soon.
I'll throw another name in there, Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, OC looks for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you win, teams are going to look at your coaches. So the good news is obviously Ben's not going anywhere, and I don't think Dennis Allen is either, because I don't think he's getting a third crack at a head coaching job. So, yeah, I think your main pillars are in place, which is most important. Miliano, Moody was that girl you can hit up whenever you want to come over. You're bored, then you find out she's engaged now. I hope you had the time of your life. The one that got away, Jake the Snake Moody. Cullen Graham, how about this?
With a little chef's hat. Ryan Poles, love that.
Going to the Niners game, that's going to be a big deal. I think we can make the playoffs this year. I'll say this today. If you beat the Niners, you're making the playoffs. I'm not saying you're not if you don't beat them, but I do think if you beat them, you're making it because you will find at least a couple more wins. I feel confident in saying that. Yeah, I still think you could make it if you don't beat them. I don't know if it's all on that game, but I do think if you beat them, you're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, that would be my prediction.
For the record, we are Team Bears.
Why is that?
Just a small reason.
Johnny.
Maybe it's just me, but I feel like Benedict has been doing just fine. Obviously, he hasn't been perfect, but feel like he's been solid compared to what we've had before. Compared to Braxton Jones, I think it was obviously time to make a switch. Harry, you probably agree with that. I think Benedict in terms of a UDFA from Canada, you can't really ask much more than what the production you're getting.
Yeah, overall, given the expectations, he wasn't even in the left tackle competition. That included 3 guys at one point. And he's been your left tackle for the most of the season. So, like, this isn't an anti-Theo Benedict thing. This is just look, he's got limitations. He's a UDFA out of Canada for a reason. Like, he's got shorter arms. He's not the most powerful guy, but he's athletic. You can get him out in space in the run game. I think he's a plus player in the run game. He's a guy I'd love to keep around for a while because he can play multiple positions. He's athletic. He seems like a smart player. So, if he has to play in a pinch for an extended period of time, he can do that. I just think, I think you can do better than Theo Benedict at left tackle. That's all. I think you can get by with what you have this season with him. And you really probably don't have a choice unless you all of a sudden think Ozzie Trapillo can play over there. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just you have what you have right now. Maybe the final 6-7 weeks he proves guys like me wrong and does earn being the guy long term. But I would say, based on the sample size we've seen right now, I see a good backup player. That's what I see.
I think ultimately the ideal for the Bears, if everything works out the way positively that you want it to, he's your swing tackle next year.
Yeah.
If you have Ozzie Trapillo, whether they move Darnell to left or they have Ozzie starting at right, or Ozzie eventually figures it out over at left tackle. If Theo Benedict's your swing tackle, and then obviously the second-round pick you used on Ozzie, he's now able to contribute on the offensive line, that's best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, hell, if he's just your 6th lineman, like Ryan Poles said he can play guard too. So, I mean, yeah, I think he's a valuable guy to have. He's a exclusive rights free agent, which means it'll cost you nothing to bring him back next year. So, that's a great find by the Bears. He's shown he's not a disaster as a starter, and I think as a backup, he has a lot of value, especially given how little you'll have to pay him. So, yeah, I just ideally you upgrade there. You drafted Ozzie Trapillo in the 2nd round. If he's not a starter next year, that's a miss of a pick. It just is. Now, maybe he could start at right tackle and you move Darnell to the left side. That's fine. But, if he's not starting by year 2, then you're kind of acknowledging that that's a miss. So, Omar, these Victory Mondays are nice, but, man, we need 2 defensive linemen and a left tackle with the first 3 draft picks. Order up for debate. Just my thoughts. Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful in terms of just pigeonholing based on needs. But, yeah, in an ideal world, you would draft – well, ideal world, what we just said, one of Darnell or Ozzie's the left tackle, the other one's the right tackle. But if that's not the case, yeah, left tackle, edge, and then maybe either another defensive tackle or a second edge. I would throw safety in there too. I think safety is potentially a position you're going to want to target early because all your safeties on your roster are free agents after this year, and you're probably not going to re-sign all of them. If Kevin Byard keeps playing like this, another 1-year contract, he says he's year to year. I don't think he's going to demand a lot. 1 year, $6-8 million, that's more than worth it to me. Maybe you let Brisker walk, get Gardner Johnson back. Maybe he's your other safety. Who knows? But that's all in the to be determined category. Poor connection. I made a bet with my friend that if we make the playoffs, he buys me a jersey. If I win, do I get one now or wait for the rivalry jerseys? Oh, yeah, because next year the NFC North is in there. I might wait because the Bears are not a team that gets away from their traditional ones. They've had the orange ones, but they're not rocking them this year. I might wait and see what they look like. I'm eager to see what the Bears pull out next year with the rivalry jerseys. I would say the ones this year have been hit and miss, to put it kindly. I would say I dislike them more than I like them if I add them all up, but there's a few cool ones in there. But the Bears, if you're someone who wants something different, the Bears are a very traditional run franchise. So if you want a different look, then what's the harm in waiting? If you don't like them, then you just get a normal jersey. So I'd say wait and see what it looks like.
Make a quick pitch. If you could design the Bears rivalry jersey, it's just a brief description, obviously. What would you?
I think I would do now, if it's just the jersey top. If you're going the full thing, I've always said I think the polar bears would be sweet. If you want white helmet with the bear logo, white top, white pant. I think rock those once or twice a year on the road. Polar bear jerseys, that'd be sweet. Now, if you're just talking jersey top, maybe some like white jersey with orange instead of navy.
Okay.
Like kind of an orange accent, orange numbers, maybe like some kind of like, you could do like a bear claw thing on the shoulders or something like that. I think something like that would be cool, but, I wouldn't mind a navy with orange concept as well. So those are a couple things I would consider.
All right, last super chat, and then we're gonna get into the segments we.
Yeah, you guys are bringing the boom, not literally, but balling out. Appreciate
balling
it.
out.
Cornelius Harrison, what would you do if the Bears drafted a pass catcher in the first round? I mean, what's the context? Like, is DJ Moore off the team or something? And they, I would never rule anything out. But if all things are equal, I'd be like, okay, you drafted Loveland and Burden last year, the first 2 rounds, and you're doing it again. I would not love that, but who's on the board? Who's available? Like, what if you're picking 20th and Mekhi Lemon's available? Am I supposed to be pissed if they draft that dude? He's a fucking demon. So, there's context to everything. But, yes, like, ideally I would take a trenches player. That would be the more ideal scenario. Okay. Appreciate all the super chats. Hit that like button. We will answer more super chats coming up in about 15 minutes. Some hashtag Bears questions as well if you want to get those questions in. But hit that like button so we can get some more Bears fans in here on a Victory Monday. Here's what we got coming up. Today's news and updates, including Jake Moody getting poached off the Bears practice squad by the Commanders. We will take more questions. Hashtag Bears or super chat. Are the Bears for real or not? We're going to break that down as well. A lot to get into here on Chicago Bears Now. Happy Victory Monday, everybody. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. I want to dive into Ben Johnson and how his imagination was on full display once again against the Minnesota Vikings. Also, some good news toward the end of the video when it comes to the Bears for a future opponent. We'll explain, and obviously what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. We'll dive into that as well. But some news coming in right before we film this segment here on our live Monday show. Tom Pelissero breaking Bears fans' hearts. Jake Moody signed off of the Bears practice squad by the Washington Commanders after they cut Matt Gay earlier today. Some quick thoughts on this, and then we'll move to the next topic. Look, am I bummed out? Yes. Not really necessarily for this year. I think the Bears had kind of showed their hand that they trust Cairo Santos. For this year, he's their guy. I'm more bummed for this offseason and into next year because Cairo, 33, he'll be 34 next year. I liked the idea of, hey, Jake Moody, you did some nice things in a couple of games for us. Big-legged kicker. We're going to give you a chance to compete for the job next year. I don't think the sample size was nearly long enough to just be like, you're our guy, but I would have liked him to be in the competition. And I kind of thought maybe, considering he's been just sitting on the practice squad for weeks since that 2-game stretch, maybe they have a silent handshake agreement like, hey, just stick around. We'll develop you more on the practice squad. We're guaranteeing you a chance to compete for the job next year. Clearly, that wasn't the case. Commanders poached him. He agreed to go sign there, and I do think that's an important distinction. He has to agree. He could have said no and stayed on the practice squad. The Bears could have also put him on the 53-man roster, but then you have to carry 2 kickers, or you have to, what are you going to do, cut Cairo Santos after a game winner yesterday? Cullen kind of jokingly asked, had Cairo missed that kick, would they have just activated Jake Moody if the Commanders threatened to poach him? Maybe, I don't know. That seems crazy off of 1 kick, but we know the pros and cons of both kickers. I'm bummed long term. In the short term, I'm not going to freak out about it, but time will tell if this was the right or wrong decision to not put him on the 53 to protect him moving forward. I wish him well. Listen, he won you a game, right? And ironically, the team he beat, he's going to now. So good for Jake Moody. I would love a world if in the offseason the Bears brought him back to compete with Cairo Santos, but if he does well with the Commanders, they'll probably keep him. So that is that. Okay, let's talk a little Ben Johnson. as some data shows that he pulled out all the stops to try and counter Brian Flores' defense, which, if you missed that data, Flores blitzed 78% of the time on Caleb Williams dropbacks, and Caleb actually did well against the blitz. He was better against pressure than not in that game on Sunday. But Zach Pearson tweeted this out. This is from NFL Pro. He said the Bears deployed 8 different personnel groupings in their win over the Vikings, using 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back on just 27.4% of their offensive plays. The Bears aligned the quarterback under center at the highest rate, 72.1%, of any offense this season, and aligned in condensed formations at the second highest rate, 74%, in the NFL this season. Condensed formations is just like you don't have your receivers split out wide. They're tight, close to the tackles, the tight ends, etc. I think what stands out to me in this stat is Caleb Williams' development as an under-center quarterback. Dan Orlovsky just tweeted out a stat that Caleb Williams is either 3rd or 4th in QBR from under center this year among all NFL quarterbacks, and he's 4th in under center passing yards. That is big-time development. This guy never played under center in college at USC. Last year, they did not put him under center hardly at all. I would argue his most comfortable passing plays from a play-to-play standpoint this year have been the under center play action game. For a guy who hardly did that at all, for Ben Johnson to challenge him and for him to step up to the plate and have a really, really good season so far in that area, like that is big time for the quarterback, and that is great development by Ben Johnson and this staff. So that is absolutely awesome. What I also love from this is Ben Johnson. The Bears have a coach that is not going to be stubborn. And Ben's talked about this. He's said, I'm going to attack every opponent the best way I think to attack that specific opponent. That's what a good coach does. It's not, hey, here are our principles. We're not going to get off of them. Obviously, Ben has his principles. But, hey, one week we might run 12 personnel 68% of the time. The next week we might sit in 11 a lot. Against the Vikings, we're going to try a shit ton of different personnel groupings and figure out what works to counter Brian Flores. That's what you do. You don't just say, this is what we run, stop it. The other teams get paid too. They're pretty good at what they do. So that's what a good team does. It's what Belichick did for years. Hey, we are going to do what it takes to beat the opponent at hand, because not every team is built the same. You might want to say, hey, we want to run 12 personnel every single week. Well, if you're playing a team that sits in base defense more than the next, hey, maybe you run more 11 and you get more speed at receiver and you try to expose that team in coverage. So that's what a good coaching staff does. It identifies what they think the weaknesses are of that opponent, and you attack that way. That's what the Bears are trying to do each and every week. Another big change that Ben Johnson and staff made this week is Luther Burden took over for Olamide Zaccheaus. He played 33 snaps, which is still only 49% because, again, the personnel groupings, a lot of 12 personnel yesterday. So it was technically the same snap share as last week, but in comparison to Olamide, who only played 10 snaps, 13%, it's clear those roles kind of flipped, right? Now, I think there can still be some, variance there on, the percentages of each of these guys. But I think moving forward, you were going to see more Burden, less Zaccheaus. Now, Luther had a bad drop over the middle, but still on the touches he had, the explosiveness was there. He's a guy who can change a game in one play, and Olamide Zaccheaus just isn't really that. He's more of a safety valve who was dropping some passes. Like, if you're a safety net and you're dropping passes, it's not great, right? Like, you're already a lower ceiling player. You need to be reliable. And the last couple of weeks, Zaccheaus hadn't been that. So I think that's the Bears kind of sending a message to OZ too, like, hey, we like you, man, but like, we're going to play the more explosive guy if you're not catching the ball. And we saw that against Minnesota on Sunday. I just think moving forward, like, these two guys, they got to get more targets. Durham Smythe, a couple people went after me on Twitter. Well, the plays were there to be made. I get it. But again, kind of like Zaccheaus, if you're Durham Smythe and you're dropping a check down, why would I throw to you again if I'm Caleb Williams? Now, obviously, if he's open and he's in the play and that's where the progression gets to, you have to throw it. But it's like, I'd rather just dial up more plays for Colson Loveland. Not that they dialed up plays for Durham Smythe. They were check down situations, but Loveland is just so dynamic with the ball in his hands. Obviously, Burden is as well. I think you can make the argument that Colston Loveland's the most reliable target on this team. He seems to have the most consistent hands. He is uniquely elite after the catch for a tight end. I mean, he catches a dump off on 3rd and 17, about 8 yards short of the sticks, splits 2 defenders, gets like 19 yards. I think he's a unique player. He's really, really good. So I want to continue to pepper him. I want to get, obviously, Luther Burden more targets. Rome Odunze, like that's the trio. Moving forward, long-term, Rome, Colston, Burden, whatever the order is, that's got to be your 3-headed monster moving forward. Obviously, DJ's on the team right now. You still want to get him touches. Cole Kmet had a nice game. All these guys can have roles, but I think, like, long-term, the hierarchy, like, that's your 3 guys. I think that's pretty clear moving forward. Now, which Bears pass catcher do you trust the most? Receiver, tight end? Is it crazy to say Colston Loveland? Now, you can maybe say, like, Cole Kmet, like, you trust him just like he's going to catch these footballs for the most part. But he's a lower ceiling receiving option. We all understand that. Rome Odunze is obviously a really, really good player. But Loveland, his reliability as this season has gone on has been really, really impressive, especially for a rookie player. Gets you excited for the future. All right, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the Prize Picks app as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats for players as you start to make your lineups. You just pick 2 or more players and take more or less on the stat projections for those players. And if you hit, you'll win money. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Little Monday action here. I took more Goblin play, half a touchdown for Ashton Genty, rushing or receiving. I took the more there. And then Demon play to even things out. CeeDee Lamb to find the end zone as well. Receiving or rushing doesn't matter. $20 lineup to win $60. Hit a nice little 2-player lineup on Sunday. Looking to do so again here. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Excuse me. Okay, Aaron Rodgers. As of filming this, there's not really much new than what we reported last night from Schefter, Pelissero. Schefter, if you missed it, said he's got a slight break in his non-throwing hand and that the initial thought was that Mason Rudolph is trending toward playing against the Bears. Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport kind of pushed back with their reporting saying, well, people in Rodgers' camp are saying he'll be back soon, that he could be pushing to play this week. So I think it's very up in the air at this point in time. I would guess Aaron Rodgers is pushing pretty hard to play. Now, there's a lot of factors here. If he's got a broken bone in his left hand or wrist, yeah, it's not his throwing hand, but taking under center snaps in that situation may not be feasible. So do you play him exclusively from the shotgun? Arthur Smith does a lot of under center run game, play action. That limits what they want to do offensively. If he has to have a surgery, could he play a few days later? Again, I know it's his offhand, but if you have a surgery, he's probably going to have some sort of a cast, even if it's a soft cast. So again, that means taking snaps is pretty difficult. So I don't know. I'd call it 50-50 right now. I see it both ways. Part of this, too, is the Ravens have covered ground. They're only a game back of Pittsburgh in the AFC North. So how much does that factor in? Rodgers returning to Soldier Field. I have split emotions. I'd love to kick Rodgers' ass and him to play and the Bears to just beat him. But, if Mason Rudolph plays and stinks up the joint and the Bears win, I'm not going to feel bad about that either. So we'll see what happens, but we will continue to monitor what's going on with Rodgers throughout the week. Probably one of those game-time decision deals. All right, some more good news, by the way, as the Bears play the Eagles in 2 weeks. We don't want to look ahead too far, but when there's news that impacts a future Bears game, I think it's worth mentioning, especially a high-profile game like Chicago-Philly is, especially if the Bears win this week against Pittsburgh. Lane Johnson is not going to play in this game. He is out 4 to 6 weeks, will almost certainly go on short-term IR, but even if he doesn't, that game is 12 days away, 13 days away, 4 to 6 weeks. He's not playing in that game. He suffered a Lisfranc sprain in his foot on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, so he's not going to be available in that game. It's not season ending, but again, the Bears play the Eagles next week. That's a big deal. I mean, he is an all-pro right tackle, a big part of what they want to do. He's been in and out of the lineup with various ailments this year, and it's impacted their running game specifically, but also he's an excellent pass protector, obviously, so he's not going to play. And Cam Jurgens is kind of a toss-up. Their starting center, who has not played great this year, but is still their starting center. He's been in and out of the lineup, got banged up again last night as well. Now, we have not heard an official diagnosis or timetable for Jurgens as of filming this, so that one's a little up in the air. But let's just hypothetically say him and Lane Johnson are out. Okay, you've got Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson if you're Philadelphia. That left tackle, left guard combination. Sorry about the typo there, LC. Left guard there, but Brett Toth, backup. Tyler Steen's been their starter at right guard, but he's just not that good. Fred Johnson's a career swing tackle. Like, if you're the Bears, you feel pretty decent about your chances of, finding some pressure, even though your own defensive line hasn't been great. The Eagles' offensive line just has not been as good this year, especially on the interior. And now you take your all-pro right tackle out of the mix and potentially Cam Jurgens as well. Like, this Eagles offense already has limitations. They're not running the ball efficiently with Saquon Barkley. You've got this A.J. Brown drama going on. Jalen Hurts is doing a really good job of taking care of the football, but Philadelphia's middle of the pack in terms of explosive plays. I could see you going into that game and that just being kind of a fist fight, and you have a chance late. So, again, we're focused on Pittsburgh this week, but I do think this was worth mentioning on today's show. And it's crazy to say, if the Bears win this week, that game against Philadelphia, that becomes a winner is either in first or second in the NFC game, because you would have the head-to-head against Philadelphia if you were able to beat them. So, we're one play at a time, one game at a time. We understand that. You got to beat a good Pittsburgh team first, but that Bears-Eagles game could be massive, and the Bears could get some key guys back for that game, and Philadelphia could be without some key guys in that game. We say it all the time. When you play teams really matters, and the Bears might be playing the Eagles at the right time. Who is the best team, excuse me, got a tickle in my throat, in the NFC? If you had to say right now, I'd probably go with the Rams. I know the Eagles beat the Rams, but even in that game, the Rams missed 2 field goals in the fourth quarter to win the game. They were crushing them in the first half. They kind of just lost control of that game for a variety of reasons. But even the Rams have some flaws as well. Like, NFC kind of up for grabs right now, even though I do think L.A. is a notch above everyone else currently. All right, that's going to do it for Chicago Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications for more Bears content. We're here every single day. Bear down. Our Crisis King, if the Bears beat Pittsburgh and put up a fight against Philadelphia, the Bears have a chance, but getting Jalen, Kyler, TJ back before the playoffs would help immensely. Yeah, no question. I mean, I think it would show a lot, to your point. Even if you just beat Pittsburgh and just got to the fourth quarter with the chance in Philadelphia, I think that would be a pretty solid statement. I mean, I don't know, if you went to Philadelphia and lost like 20-16, like that'd be a pretty good result. Obviously, you want to win every game, but yeah, I'm with you. I am with you. Clintonio. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, that's Marcus. We'll get to your super chat. It's going to be in our mailbag segment.
Yeah, we got mailbag coming up. # Bears super chat. Antonio.
He says, hope people see now week 1 was just a fluke.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's still a good team. They just don't have a good quarterback right now. Maybe JJ's that. He played great in the fourth quarter in week 1. His one good drive was in the fourth quarter this week, so is he like a worse version of rookie year Caleb Williams where he's played pretty well in the fourth, but he's pretty bad the rest of the time? I don't think Caleb his bad wasn't as bad as JJ bad.
I will say this, just a natural talent standpoint, JJ McCarthy's not even close.
Not even close. I just mean, like, the one thing I'll give him credit for is he seemingly has played his best in the fourth quarter. So, like, that's something, but he misses a lot of throws, man. And to your point, he does not have the physical characteristics of Caleb. I think he's a plus athlete. I think he has a solid arm. But even yesterday, it's like some of those throws, it's like, did a boomerang hit that out of his hand? Like,
I mean, the amount of times that he would miss just like a 4-yard out route and it hit the trainer sitting on the bench, like it was.
He also just does not consistently throw a tight spiral.
No.
Like, even that Addison drop early where he steps up and, like, hits him in the hands, it's like, that ball's like, it's like, this is a football, not a boomerang. It just came out weird. That was, maybe the hand was bothering him. Who knows? But he clearly does not have, like, the arm talent of a Caleb Williams. But not many people do. Tony Williams, I need Bears-Packers wild card match. Please give me that. If that happens, that means the Bears will have played the Packers 3 times in 6 weeks, which would be chaotic.
And win all 3 times. It's crazy.
Yeah. Who saw it coming? All right, hashtag Bears Super Chat. Get your questions answered on the show.
I will say, like, what matchup, because we kind of asked this earlier, but just to kind of confirm in the chat, what matchup, if not jinxing here, if the Bears make the playoffs, like, who do you want to play? Potentially. Who would you guys want to play?
Yeah, who's your dream opponent in the playoffs? Who do you want to play?
Michael
people just shouting out Bears legends in the chat, by the way. Seems to be the case.
Yeah, looks like it.
Tevin Jenkins. It's still kind of wild that, like, no team took a chance on him as a starter.
Well, NFL Prods, he says Saints. Of course, the Saints would be an ideal playoff matchup.
Yeah, I mean, someone that's got a shot to make the playoffs. Dino says Packers. Bryce Callahan, Buster Screen. Buster Screen got busted for something recently.
Yes.
He's like a drug dealer or something, right? Like some
I think
major
he had
operation.
something in his car, if I'm not mistaken. Crisis King will get your super chat in the middle.
Panthers is the dream, Tim. I think it's a long, long shot, but that would be the dream opponent.
Plus the storylines going into that game.
I will say this, if they lost to the Panthers, that would be a crash-out situation. That would be a crash-out situation. Construction King, in case we don't get that on the mailbag for whatever reason with that hashtag Bears, I probably will not give a prediction today because I want to see what's going on with Rodgers first. That's why we're not doing a preview episode today. But, yeah, my gut tells me Bears close either way, but Rodgers' status impacts my prediction. So we shall see. You're all good, Construction. Okay, hashtag Bears Super Chat. Let's get to your mailbag questions. We can use that one on the mailbag as well. Sports for Life.
Yeah. Sports for Life. Gotcha. Yeah. Someone put the hashtag Travis Homer was going to pick up that first down if he didn't get the face mask.
Guys, I love Ben. I'm.
What's up?
Kiffin? I saw they flew him out to Baton Rouge or something. Was he at either place or was just his family? Well, did you see McMurray? They've given him like a dead. I was talking to Yoder. They got to, like, this sport has to fix, like, no player or coach movement until after the Natty. Like, the academic calendar, no one cares. Well, he's a free agent. I'm fine with that. But a current sitting coach who has a real shot at winning the national championship, it's a disaster. All right. College football talk with Coop behind the scenes.
Shout out to producer Coop.
James Franklin to Virginia Tech. It's a hell of a hire, man.
Yeah, for Virginia Tech, I mean,
you can't do better. I mean, that's as good as it gets on paper. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But
I will say, shout out to producer Chugs. That first kind of Enter Sandman with Franklin.
Oh, chills. I can see the video now.
Cool.
All right, we'll hit these super chats.
Yeah.
Let's hop into it.
Yep.
You guys have been crushing it today. Mailbag coming up. I'm Harrison Graham. Let's dive into a Chicago Bears Now mailbag. First place Bears. Sounds good, doesn't it? Would you rather face Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph on Sunday? Yeah, we're filming this live on Monday, so depending on when you're watching this, maybe there's more clarity on this situation, but kind of mixed reporting right now. Sounds like he's got some kind of slight break or fracture in his non-throwing wrist. Rodgers this year has been, I would say solid. Recently he hasn't played as well. The raw numbers look good, but not generating a ton of explosives. After DK Metcalf, they don't have a ton of high-end skill players. But I would say for what Pittsburgh was probably hoping for and what realistic expectations are for a 41-year quarterback, Aaron Rodgers has been solid. Like, he's certainly been an upgrade over what they had in previous years with the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields situation last year, and obviously, the Mason Rudolphs, Big Ben's last year, Kenny Pickett. I would just say he's been solid, right? And then you have Mason Rudolph, who's kind of come and gone from Pittsburgh a couple of times. I thought he played really well in relief. Now, the Bengals defense is a train wreck, as we all know. But I still think you'd rather take your chances with Mason Rudolph. I would also love to beat Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field. Again, I'm not going to shed a tear if he's out and the Bears beat up on Mason Rudolph, but there is a big part of me that's like, for the sentimental reasons, for just the history, I'd love Aaron Rodgers to play, and I'd love the Bears to beat him. Now, if they lost him, that would freaking suck. We all understand that, but I think I would still rather play Rodgers and have a chance to beat him. That would, when the schedule came out, I was like, that's one of the games I care about the most. Beat Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field. Sayonara, enjoy retirement. But we'll see. We don't know if he's going to play or not. Which quarterback do you want to face? Type AR for Aaron Rodgers or MR for Mason Rudolph. Get your votes in the comment section. Okay, super chat from Marcus. Appreciate the 5. Under what scenario would you agree with going all in on Garrett Crosby this offseason? I mean, if you continue to play well, have a good season, win 11, 12 games or something like that, maybe get to like the divisional round, and if you're like, man, we feel like we're a pass rusher away, second year in Ben Johnson's offense for Caleb Williams, young players ascending, like I'd be open to it. Now, what is the cost? What does that mean for your draft capital? What money do you have to move around to make that possible? Those are all, scenarios and situations you'd have to explore, but if you're like 11-6, win a playoff game, and that second game you're just getting no pass rush, and it's like, man, if you had a big time pass rusher, like you could have gone further, then yeah, I think you explore those situations. They certainly explored them at the trade deadline, so I don't see why that would change in the offseason. Michael with another 5, appreciate it. Seeing Caleb mad at the end feels like he's going to come out strong next game. Yeah, I think that's been a little overblown. I've seen the camera pan to him after they won, and he kind of shook his head. I think it was one of those looks of like, God, it should not have come down to this. But if you saw him in the on-field interview with Cairo Santos, how excited he was, in the locker room with his teammates, like, I think people are making more of that. But I think to your point, it's like, I think the Bears, there has to be some feeling of like, man, like, as awesome as this is, as many games as they're winning, and that's what matters most. I think Caleb probably looks at that as like, God, if we were like a couple plays away from just putting this game out of reach and not having to sweat this one out, that's kind of the next step, right? They're learning how to win. They are winning games. The next step is, can they put teams away when the opportunity is there to do so? And we'll see if they run into that situation anymore this year and if they are able to do just that. All right, more questions to come on this mailbag episode. But first, today's show is sponsored by Ethos Life Insurance. Is one of the most important investments you can make in your family. Now with Ethos, you can get covered and protected in minutes with rates as low as $2 per day, billed monthly. You can also get up to $3 million in total coverage. As a husband and a father, having life insurance is absolutely vital. It's something I do not take for granted. Ethos is revolutionizing the insurance industry with a 100% online process and can provide protection for you and your loved ones. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. Ethos has no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. Like I said, you'll get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, so check it out today. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos today. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary as well. That link is in the comments and description of this video to get started. Okay, Christ is King with the super chat. Appreciate it. If Jalen or Kyler return for Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, would Ben put C.J. Gardner-Johnson at safety or keep him at nickel? I would put him at safety and sub him around. Yeah, I don't know. He's played 100% of the snaps the last 2 weeks, so I don't think he goes from a full-time player to like some part-time player. Now, maybe he plays 80 or 85% of the snaps, but that's a guy I want on the field, man. Now, they've kind of moved him around. He's played a little safety. He's played a lot of nickel. He's played in the box, especially with TJ Edwards out. I think that factors in too because CJ Gardner-Johnson's so good in the box. He can almost be your second linebacker at times in a nickel situation. I think it's a challenge that Dennis Allen will accept. It's a good problem to have. We've talked about, do you explore Kyler Gordon at outside corner some? I think one thing you could do too is maybe you just ease Kyler back. It's like, hey, you just have a part-time role at first. You've struggled to stay healthy. A, you got to earn playing time as you come back, and B, we're not going to overdo it. So maybe that's part of the plan. We'll see what it all looks like, but I am not looking to take C.J. Gardner-Johnson off the field very much, if at all. Sports for Life, should we get DJ involved more, I think is what you're trying to say there. Yeah, you'd like to, but can you catch the ball? I mean, I'm not trying to be critical, but Caleb Williams throws a seed over the middle of the field before he comes out of his break, and it hits him right on the 2, and he drops the ball. It's like, I don't know, man. You're making $28 million per year. I need you to catch that football. He almost dropped the one earlier in the game over the field. I'll say this. Caleb Williams on that intermediate game over the middle, I don't watch every single quarterback every week. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find many quarterbacks who throws that ball better. That, 12 to 25-yard deep in over the middle of the field, on time, on target, with velocity. Like, I think that's his best throw, clearly. And Luther Burden dropped one. DJ Moore dropped one. Like, need these guys to catch the ball. You're not going to catch every ball, I understand. I would like my $28 million receiver to catch the football, please. If you are a die-hard Bears fan, we're the channel for you. We're almost at 140,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, support the show. We are here every day bringing you guys Bears content. All right, poor connection. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Any news on Frazier? By the way, my friends call me PK. All right, PK, appreciate it. Well, he's out for the year. Zoff Frazier, I assume that's who you're talking. Sorry, Zay Frazier, I assume that's who you're talking about. They declared him out for the year at the end of training camp, so he's not in the mix. I think he's a guy you throw into the mix in the offseason, and he'll probably have to fight for a roster spot, realistically. So, that's where that situation stands. All right, Cheeks, my boy. We know the offense is good, but with the entire secondary healthy, how do you rank our defense? Are they a playoff defense? I do think it's an above-average defense if everybody is healthy and playing up to their standard. Like if Jalen Johnson is at least 80 to 85% of what he normally is, that's your best outside corner, clearly. If good Tyreek Stevenson is playing, that's a solid CB2. If Kevin Byard's playing well, which he has been most of the season, that's a really good safety. If you get good version of Jaquan Brisker, that's a solid box safety. If the combination of C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kyler Gordon, you feel good about them as roamers and nickels. I do think it's a playoff defense. I don't think it's an elite one because to me, to have an elite defense, you have to have at least an above-average pass rush. The Bears do not have that. Like at best, you're hoping for average. I would call it below average from just your 4-down linemen consistently winning one-on-ones. Now, Dennis Allen has dialed up some timely pressures. That has led to some success and some sacks and some QB hits, but they just do not win their one-on-ones consistently. So I don't think you can be elite, but you can be top 15, top 12 if your secondary and linebacker core is fully healthy. I think there's enough talent in your back seven. Predict the score. Bears, Steelers, who you got? What's the final score going to be? Let me know down in the chat. My early inkling is Bears in a tight one. I know that's a real bold statement. That's like every game. But, as we're filming this, we don't know Aaron Rodgers' situation. So, obviously, want to get more clarity there. All right, Maze, at what point do we start talking about a Caleb extension? Well, he's not even eligible until the end of next year. So, I don't think we start talking about it until probably midway through next season. That would probably be the earliest time you would even start having those conversations, but I think he's taking good steps. If he continues to progress like he has this year through the end of the season, and then he takes the equal amount of steps he took this year next year, I think you're probably entering that territory where you'd be comfortable with an extension. We're not there yet, but we're also in year 2. You couldn't give him one right now. So, yeah, I think you're probably 12 months early here, Maze. Jacob Stark, what grade would you give Ben Johnson? I mean, all things considered, it's an A. A+. Have there been a handful of situational play calls I haven't loved? Yeah, but, like, that's calling plays in the NFL. Like, you're sometimes you're going to get too cute. Sometimes the defense is going to have the answer. Sometimes your guys just aren't going to execute. That's part of it. I mean, guys, the Bears are 5-1 in one-score games. They never won one-score games under Matt Eberflus. The Bears lead the NFL in explosive plays. Those two things, like, that's result of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson proving he can be a good head coach in this league, talking about winning these tight games. I think a lot of that is building belief, culture, trust from players to coaching staff and vice versa. And the second part of that is Ben, the play caller. Number 1 in explosives, the Chicago Bears. We've never had good offense. So, yeah, I don't know how it could be anything less than an A or an A+. It's been – you're in first place in mid-November. It's remarkable what this guy has done overnight. He's got a real shot at winning Coach of the Year. This team wins 12 games. I mean, he's going to have a very strong argument. All right, that is it for our mailbag. If you have more questions, DMs are open at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram. By the way, the new Twitter chat thing, kind of weird, still figuring it out. I think they've kind of worked through the kinks, but for a couple days there it was kind of wonky. But DMs are open at HGramNFL. Hit me up if you got more Bears questions. All right, Jeremy. Caleb played good yesterday. Tighten up deep ball. Yeah, the deep ball numbers have actually taken a nice step forward this year, but he missed a couple to start that game, especially that second one. I thought Ben had a fair assessment of those. He said the one to Rome, didn't miss that one by much, wasn't, an egregious miss, probably a yard out in front. The one to DJ, especially with how much separation he got, to not even give him a chance there, that's the more expensive one. So, yeah, I mean, you certainly would like to hit at least one of those two, right? Deep ball, good deep ball guys are going to be in the 40 percentages. You're not going to throw like 70% on true deep balls. It just doesn't happen. But, yeah, I mean, I would say if he hit one of those yesterday, you would have felt a lot better about it. So it's been better this year, but I still think there's room to grow in that department. Braden, watched your overreaction Monday video. Happy for you buying a house. Yeah, we're under contract right now. Hopefully it's smooth sailing here. It's going to be during the holidays, the moving, so it's going to be a little chaotic, but we'll make it work. Saw Jake Moody was signed. Bears going to make some noise. Watch. Yeah, the Moody thing, we broke that down. It's a bummer. I don't think it really changes much for this year unless Cairo snaps his leg or something. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But, yeah, it's more of a bummer for next year potentially because I thought Jake Moody would have been good competition for Cairo Santos in the offseason heading into next year as Santos gets older. So it is what it is. Wish him the best of luck. And, yeah, thanks on the house. So appreciate it.
Yeah, Z Ganji also says, congratulations, we bought ours in Missouri in July.
Yeah, the bigger thing I'm worried about is selling my current house.
I've
never gone through that before, so that'll be stressful, but we'll be all right.
If you could give some advice to the Bears fans that maybe are looking to buy a house or haven't bought a house yet, what are some HG words of wisdom?
I would say understand how much you can and can't spend from a mortgage standpoint. Well, A, on a down payment, and B, on a mortgage. What's the range that you're comfortable spending on a month-to-month basis? Figure those numbers out. And number 2, be patient. Don't force the issue. Like, you and your significant other, or if it's just you, write down non-negotiables. I want an open-style kitchen. I want a galley kitchen. I want a fireplace. I don't care if I have a fireplace. I want a backyard. I don't care. I want a pool. Write down all the things you absolutely want to have, things you'd like to have, and then things you don't care about. And if you check enough of those boxes along with the finances, then proceed. Make an offer. Also, use a realtor. I think people probably think, oh, I could sell my house without a realtor. Good luck, buddy. Like, so those are all things I would say.
100%.
Those are all things I would say.
Big Dumper, would you rather sweep the Packers and miss the playoffs, or they sweep us and we make the playoffs?
The latter. I don't want to get swept by the Packers, but I'd rather make the playoffs. Like, if you sweep the Packers and miss the playoffs, that probably means you lose, like, every other game. That would suck. I mean, I want to making the playoffs is more important than beating the Packers. I know that's crazy to say, but that's – you guys let me know. Type 1, for you'd rather sweep the Packers and miss the playoffs. Type 2, you'd rather get swept by the playoffs or by the Packers and make the playoffs. I'd rather make the playoffs. Jacob, not currently, not to my knowledge. At some point, we're hoping that's the case.
So it's a lot of twos.
Is that the...
Make the playoffs, I think.
I can't remember. Is 2 make the playoffs or miss the playoffs?
We just asked it.
I think it's miss the playoffs.
Really? So, all right, instead of this, sweep the Packers or playoffs?
2 equals make playoffs. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I couldn't remember what I said. All right, good. I'm glad I hate the Packers. I want to make the postseason. But I also think to make the postseason, you probably need to beat the Packers at least once. So,
yeah.
There you go. Clintonio. Bears, Eagles, wild card rematch. Chicago or Bears, Colts, Super Bowl. So you avenge 2018, the double doink against the Eagles, and you avenge the Super Bowl loss to Peyton Manning and the boys. Let's do it. Bears, Colts, Super Bowl. That'd be hilarious. What would the odds of that have been going into the season? Like plus 50,000?
Seriously.
Bears, Colts?
What would be the ideal path? Like, if you could, draw up a path to the Bears winning a Super Bowl in terms of, each round, hey, the Bears go through X, Y, and Z. They
Just
get
in
Super
terms
Bowl.
of the best path to get there, or just
what
the
would be
most enjoyable?
Most satisfying, yeah. Because obviously...
Most satisfying would be you beat the Packers in the first round.
Yep.
You beat the Lions in the second round. And then you beat the Eagles in the NFC title game. They're the defending champs. And then, I don't know, you beat the Chiefs. They rally, make the Super Bowl. Or you beat Josh Allen. Oh, this is Josh's year. Nope. Some combination like that. You just beat your division teams. You beat the defending champs. And then you beat Mahomes, Lamar, or Allen in the Super Bowl. Or, I guess if you really want to have fun, you beat Rodgers in the Super Bowl. I don't think the Steelers have any chance of making the Super Bowl, but in terms of what's the most enjoyable,
most satisfying, most enjoyable.
That would be the most satisfying.
Okay.
Packers, Lions, Eagles, Steelers. That would be incredible. Goofy. Give me a few dream first-round draft choices. I mean, dream... I don't know, a dream would be Reuben Bain or something, but I don't think he's falling to where the Bears are going to be picking.
Jeremiah Love, if somehow the...
Yeah, I mean, you got bigger needs, but he'd be fun in this offense. I don't know, I don't know if the Bears will like him, but I love the Texas Tech pass rusher.
David
Bailey. He's not a traditional Dennis Allen defensive end, but he's really fun. I think he could be in the range of where the Bears would pick, too.
Any tackles you like? I mean, again, it could be first round.
A lot of them are right tackles. Maui Goa's a right tackle. Caleb Lomu's a right tackle. The other Utah guy's a left tackle, but he's not as good.
Spencer Fano.
Oh, Fanu's the right tackle. Lomu's the left tackle.
Okay.
But Lomu is getting more late round 1, second, day 2 buzz. And he's only a redshirt sophomore, so he's probably going to go back to school, I would guess.
You need to find your...
I'm really curious to see, because he started slow, but he's really played better as of late. I'm really curious to see how Ben Johnson and Rochar, why am I blanking on his name? What's the Bears lines for? Dan Rochar. How they would view Caden Proctor. Because he's a freak of nature with his size and athleticism, but his technique seems to break down, but like if you could develop him, that size and athleticism, dude, he's like 6'6", 360, and he can move. He's like, I mean, if he's a hit, he could be unbelievable.
100%.
Now, he could also be like Alex Leatherwood and just be slow of feet.
I've heard both those. I will say he's slowly becoming the most polarizing offensive tackle prospect for obvious reasons, right? Like
because he's almost like too big. It's like,
yeah, but the way he moves, it's like,
yeah.
You know what he kind of reminds me of? Again, not the same side of the ball, but just in terms of like an athletic freak that, from what I've heard, hasn't had the best year so far. He may be this year's Deion Walker from last year. Remember the defensive tackle from Kentucky that everyone was kind of...
How's he played this year?
I haven't heard much, so...
Let's see. Let's see how PFF's grading him. 73 pass rush grade, 46 against the run, which I would have thought, if anything, the opposite.
Right.
There.
Interesting.
He's got about a 10% pass rush win rate. It's pretty good for a D-tack. So, mixed bag. They got him in, like, what, the 4th round, or was it the...
I think he was a day 3 guy, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say on PFF when he got drafted. I can look it up real quick. I'm actually curious.
Yeah.
Man, if he went day 3, that's probably, 4th round. I mean, probably take those numbers.
Yeah, for a 4th rounder, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Giovanni, what Proctor's got going for him is there's not as many left tackles in this draft. So some team's going to fall in love with him. I don't know who it's going to be, but some team is just going to take a chance on that physicality.
I have a real, like, gut feeling that the Bears' solution to left tackle is going to be they may not draft one until day 3 and really just try to see if they can get Ozzie on the field one position or another.
You know you got to think they're going to explore that hard. I mean, it's like you took him in the 2nd round. Like, I think deep down they expected him to win that job this year, and it just didn't happen.
Right. And so they'll sit there and say, hey, obviously fill in when you need to, but, like, really try to, like, hone in and develop and then come into training camp. And they're going to be on them, too, just saying, hey, listen, maybe it makes sense to switch Darnell. Again, it's risky, and then just have him play right. Whatever the case may be, but that to me seems like their solution, that they believe that they already have it in the building. And then so naturally round 1 will be more of like a pass rusher.
It's going to be interesting if they explore Darnell right at left tackle because he's really taken the next step this year, so it's risky to do that.
Right.
Bucks did it with Tristan Wirfs, and it's worked out really well. But that's going to be an interesting, I think, potential option this offseason.
John Taylor says, can't wait for a healthy defense. Need to get edge this offseason. Looking forward to this stretch of games.
Yeah, I mean, look, every game the rest of the way is high stakes. So it's fun. It's stressful, but this is like the sports stress you want. Like I'll just give an example. My college team, TCU, I mean, we're 6-4, but we're not very good. It's like I don't even care to watch. And, like, I love TCU. But I'm just like, I tapped out early 3rd quarter against BYU the other night. I'm just like, it's late West Coast. I'm done. Like, we're terrible. Like, there's nothing worse than just being nonchalant about your sports teams. Like, it's just like, I'm just going to spend my time elsewhere. Like, these games all matter, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Giovanni, we just answered your super chat, dude.
Did he send another one?
I'll double check. I don't think so.
If the Bears beat the Steelers and moved to 9-3. I don't remember answering that one.
Did we not show that one?
I remember the name, but I don't remember the text. Was it the wrong text? We'll come back to it either way.
Okay.
I'll answer it real quick.
I swear I flashed this one.
I might have just skipped by it on accident. If the Bears beat the Steelers and Eagles to move to 9-3, what is your record prediction and playoff prediction for the Bears? If they win the next 2, I mean, you'll be 9-3 with 5 games to go. Like, I think your floor is probably 11 at that point, 11-6, and I think at that point you're legitimately thinking like we have a real shot at winning the division. Like if you're 9-3 and you just beat the Eagles on the road on a short week,
you're talking 1 seed.
I mean, like 1 seed's in reach. I don't know if that would be the expectation, but like it's on the table if you beat Philadelphia. We'll see.
Could be very interesting.
All right.
All right.
Apologize, Giovanni. Thanks
Yeah.
for checking us there.
There we go. Yeah. Got to stay locked in.
And then, yeah, we just answered John. Okay, let's get to our last segment, and then we're going to sign off here. Long stream today. This has been fun. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here on a Victory Monday. Speaking of victories, Bears have a lot of them. 7 out of 8 games now. Are the Bears for real? We ask that question and give reasons why they could be and why maybe they're not here on Chicago Bears Now. Are the Chicago Bears for real? That is the question of the day here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. If you think they are, type Y for yes. If you don't, type in for no. We're going to explore both sides of the coin here, why they have ingredients to think they're for real and why maybe there's reason for hesitation to wonder how real they actually are. We'll do that next. Contenders or pretenders, for real or not? That's what we're diving into here on Chicago Bears Now. The Bears are 7-3. They're in first place in the NFC North. They're currently the number 3 seed in the NFC. But there seems to be a big debate, especially nationally, about how valid that record and their current standing in the NFC is. So let's explore both sides of the coin, because I think it's a fair question to ask. Why there is reasons to believe the Bears are for real? Well, number one, you have a legitimate running game. And the running game is something that typically can travel in the playoffs regardless of weather conditions. That's something you can lean on, and that is something that Ben Johnson will lean on. He wants to run the football, and he's got 2 backs that are running the ball effectively. He's got an offensive line that's probably been a little bit more effective in run blocking than pass blocking, especially in recent weeks. Despite a struggle the first month running the football, especially with your running backs, the Bears are second in the NFL in rushing yards per game at just under 150, only behind the Buffalo Bills. So this is a real thing. Like, with a 4-game struggle to start the year, you're still second in the NFL in rushing, which means since then you've been the best rushing attack in the NFL. You got 2 good backs. You have a quarterback that gives you some juice on the run, on the ground as well. Both runners, Swift and Monangai, are averaging 4.7 yards per carry. They bring you different styles, a little thunder and lightning. Even DeAndre Swift, I think he's answered the bell some with some physicality, especially as of late as well. Obviously, his ability in open space is really, really good. And Kyle Monangai has brought an attitude and a thump to this backfield as well. And obviously, Caleb, timely scrambles, occasional designed run. He can obviously produce on the ground also. I think in addition to that, you have an offensive line that's really gelled, especially as a run-blocking unit. You know, Theo Benedict has his limitations, but he's pretty good out in space. You get him out on those toss cracks, he can really move and get downfield and block. He's a solid run blocker. The rest of this group, really good across the board, but especially in the run game. You know, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, really good run blockers. Darnell Wright is really good as a run blocker as well. And what I said earlier, I think holds true. I think the run game travels in the playoffs. It's kind of like they always say defense travels. Like, I think a solid running game really works anywhere because weather doesn't really matter. If anything, you want nasty weather to lean on that. This offensive line is built to have success against most fronts. So I think you can feel good about that if the Bears get into the playoffs as something Ben Johnson can lean on, especially, you know, if Caleb Williams is having some struggles early in a game or something like that. Speaking of Caleb Williams, you have a weather-proof quarterback. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is there are certain quarterbacks in this league that, regardless of the elements, they're not going to have physical limitations, right? Caleb Williams is very durable. Caleb Williams has a big arm. Caleb Williams has played in elements this year. I thought one of his best games was against the Giants. Super windy, snow flurries, no issues with throwing with velocity and making all the throws he needs to. He's hard to bring down. I think that's even tougher when it's slick, these tough surfaces, you know, if it's rain, snow, whatever. Like, his physical traits translate into any weather conditions. Obviously, you play indoors, no problem. You play outdoors, it's cold and windy, no problem. You look at a guy like Tua, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff even, like, their level of play dips because they're not as good at gripping and throwing the football with the velocity needed in those conditions. So Caleb Williams, this isn't a I would rather have him than every other quarterback in the league situation. This is a, regardless of the weather elements, you're not going to win or lose based on Caleb's play because of bad weather. He may not play well, but it won't necessarily be because of the weather conditions. He has the physical traits that, regardless of the elements, you feel comfortable, which is a good thing to have, because not all even franchise quarterbacks have that. Brock Purdy's a really good player. If it's cold and snowy or rainy or windy, there's limitations there. That's just the reality. Caleb has no physical limitations, so that's valuable when you get into January. Okay, number 3. You have a defense that creates turnovers. Does this team give up yards? Does this team give up points? Yes. They also lead the NFL in takeaways. You get into a playoff game, even as an underdog, you get 2 or 3 takeaways, that could win you the game. That could win you the game. The Bears lead the NFL with 22 takeaways, and it's more than trend at this point. Most games are getting multiple takeaways, and that's been a big reason why they've been winning these games, because they take the ball away and they don't give it away. The Bears do not turn the football over either. So that combination is a really, really good one to have. You have the top 3 interception leaders in the NFL. You know, Devin Lloyd also has 4 interceptions, but Kevin Byard's got 5. Nashawn Wright and Tremaine Edmonds have 4. 13 picks among those 3 players. Other guys have chipped in as well. When you can take the ball away in the postseason, like these games, it comes down to a handful of plays. And if you're winning the turnover battle, that goes a long way into pulling off these wins. And I just want to give a shout out to Dennis Allen and to these players in the back 7, especially because to get this many interceptions without a consistent pass rush is really impressive. I mean, you do not have a consistent pass rush with your front 4. Now, some of these have been a result of dialing up pressure. You know, it's not like you're never winning one-on-ones, but I would say all things equal, this is a below-average pass rush, and you lead the NFL in takeaways and in interceptions, I believe. That's pretty impressive. So if they can tighten up just the kind of play-to-play defense, yards allowed, points allowed, all that stuff, and with reinforcements coming back, you're hoping that's the case, Stevens could be pretty damn good and could be one that translates into the postseason. Subscribe to the channel if you want free and daily Bears content all year long. Doesn't matter if we're in the season, in the off season. We're bringing you videos every single day. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We got you guys covered. The offense generates explosives. There are some inconsistencies. Caleb misses some throws. We understand all that. But when you're number 1 in the NFL in explosive plays and you don't turn the football over, that is a very, very good formula for success. Like a lot of times, like a good example, and I'm not picking on Baker and the Bucs. They've had an awesome offense over the years. But last year, ton of explosives. Baker also threw a lot of picks, though, right? He had like 15 picks, I think. Typically the higher explosive teams also turn the ball over at a higher rate. The Bears do not. They have the second fewest turnovers with 6. Caleb's thrown 4 picks, and they fumbled twice. That's a really good model for success if you generate explosive plays and do not turn the football over. Like that formula really, like, again, that's why if they just tighten up some of these inconsistencies, like the offense is already really good. It could be special if they tighten up some of the things, the self-inflicted wounds, which we'll talk about on the negative side of things coming up here in a little bit. And then lastly, look, this is a clutch team. They've proven it time and time again. Playoffs are a different deal. Not saying they're never going to lose a close game, but if you're going to make a push, if you're going to win some of these games on the stretch, if you're going to get into the playoffs and win a game or two, you're probably going to have to clutch up. Because, again, these games come down to handful of plays, final 2 minutes, and the Bears in those situations have been really clutch. Caleb Williams' 5-game winning drives, obviously the last one, didn't really have to do much. It's not his fault. It's just the reality of the situation. But they've clutched up in different ways. They blocked a field goal. Caleb's led a couple of legitimate game-winning drives. They get the kickoff return. Like, it's someone different every week, and I think that's a big ingredient of this as well. Good teams win in different ways. They've won a shootout in Cincinnati. They've won a slugfest against Minnesota. They've come from behind against Washington. Like, they've done different things to win these games, and that just builds confidence. That builds belief. That belief, that trust, that confidence is there. The players believe in the coaches, and the coaches believe in the players. They talk about it all the time. And talk is cheap. They've done it. Since week 1, they have not lost a one-score game. They've been really, really clutch. Now, a couple of those shouldn't have come down to a one-score game, but hey, if you get in that situation, you feel confident that the Bears are going to find a way, and they've proven time and time again that they can do just that. All right, on the flip side of the coin, there are legitimate reasons to question how real are the Bears. And, you know, there's levels of this, right? There's a spectrum. Are they a Super Bowl contender? Probably not. But are they a legitimate playoff contender? I would say yes. How legit are they? Are they frauds? That's up for you guys to debate. But we will take a look at the other side of the coin coming up here in just a second. But first, we've got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. That is Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can. Only in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. They are looking to support you. All right, I already got a little early week lineup cooked up for this upcoming weekend. I took more on DeAndre Swift's rushing yards. Again, as you get later into the season, I think Ben Johnson's going to continue to lean on the running game, and I like what Swift has shown, 58.5. I like the more there. I also took more on DK Metcalf's receiving yards. He's really their only consistent big-time weapon on Pittsburgh's offense. $20 lineup to win $60. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. Okay, reasons to have some doubts, whether you do or other people do. Number one, you have 0 wins against teams above 500. Now, you also haven't played many teams above 500. Detroit technically is the only one currently who is above 500. That's not the Bears' fault, but it's a talking point out there, and it's a fair thing to break down. Your wins are as follows. Against Dallas, who's 3-5-1. We are filming this live on Monday, so obviously them and the Raiders play, so that record could be slightly tweaked by the time we publish this video, so don't freak out on that. Washington, who's 3-8. They were 3-2 when you played them. Not the Bears' fault. They've collapsed. Saints 2-8. Bengals 3-7. Giants 2-9. Minnesota 4-6. Combined record 19-50-1. Huh? You're beating teams you're supposed to beat. That's kind of my reaction to that. And then your losses are against 3 better teams. You split with Minnesota, obviously. You got punked in Detroit, but I think when you play them at home outdoors, you'll have a better chance. And then Baltimore, who's clearly picked things up, 5-5 now, 15-15 combined record. Look, there's probably some validity, like, they haven't played anybody. I think not playing anybody is kind of a loose term. The NFL is the NFL. It's not college football. This isn't a Mountain West schedule. I mean, you can lose to anybody on any given Sunday. You can't control your schedule, but if you're going to put those talking points to rest, you got to win some of these games down the stretch, right? And in reality, you got to win some of these games down the stretch to A, make the playoffs, and B, kind of build those calluses like, okay, we can beat playoff caliber teams once we get into the postseason if the Bears get there. Obviously, Steelers this week. Bears and Steelers, 2 teams currently in the playoff picture. At Philadelphia on Black Friday, that would be a big statement if you can get that one. You go to Green Bay in Week 14, obviously a big opportunity. The Browns at home, I'm telling you, that reeks a little trappy game. Little Myles Garrett, he's been pretty damn good this year, but hopefully you handle business there. Packers at home in Week 16, at San Francisco and Detroit. So other than Cleveland, all these other teams, like, they're big opportunities to show, hey, we can beat high-caliber teams. Again, you can't control the schedule, but the schedule's about to ramp up, so we're about to find out how good the Bears are. All right, number 2. I think this is a significant one. You lack a pass rush, and I mean from your front 4. Yes, Dennis Allen has dialed up some pressure, but you're just not consistently winning one-on-ones with your front 4. Montez Sweat's played better recently, but he's not a dominant player. He's flashing, but he's not great. He's good, not great. Javon Dexter, again, like, good player, not special. C.J. Gardner-Johnson joined the team 3 weeks ago. He's 3rd on the team in sacks. Fun guy to blitz, but, like, that's a problem. Dominique Robinson, who's been out for weeks, is 4th on the team with 1.5, and then you have 7 other guys who have 1 sack, including Tano Passanio, who hasn't been on this team in a month and a half. Again, Dennis Allen, I think, has done a nice job of dialing up pressure. I think he'll continue to do that, especially when you get more guys back in the back end. That, kind of reduces the risk if you have guys you trust in coverage, but the D-line's just limited. Grady Jarrett has flashed some a little bit recently. That's nice to see. We talked about Sweat and Dexter, but, Austin Booker, I think, again, that word flash, I've seen some positive signs. but you're just not going to have a guy that takes over games consistently. That's something this team, big picture, has got to find. All right, number 3. Every week this team has a lot of self-inflicted wounds. And look, every single game, you're never going to play a perfect game. Rarely are you going to have a game where you have 0 or 1 or 2 penalties. Rarely are you going to have a game where you never drop a ball. But they have multiple drops every game, untimely penalties every game. We talked about the next step. They haven't, just had that killer mentality like Minnesota's on the ropes. We score one more touchdown here, they're done. Haven't been able to do it, right? So there's been a lot of self-infliction in a lot of these games. Now, the flip side of that is they've overcome that. They have found ways to win. So they've learned how to win, but they have not kind of played a clean game, right? Other than Dallas, maybe in week 3, and even the Cowboys had a couple turnovers in the red zone. If they were able to score there, that game's probably a little more dicey. The Bears have yet to play a 60-minute game where you're like, man, that was mostly pretty damn clean. And so the fact that you're 7-3 in spite of that is impressive. But again, with the schedule ramping up, you're going to have to tighten that up to realistically to win some of these games. So, I think at some point we're 10 games in, it's like they're probably not going to be a clean, perfect product this year, but can they be cleaner? I think the answer is yes. The penalties have come down. That's a good thing. These other things need to come down as well. All right, number 4. Caleb is still inconsistent. He is. I think the Bears I saw are top 5 in drops now, so that has not helped the completion percentage. We've talked about how the explosives make up for some of the inaccuracies, and I think that's fair on a diagnosis. He doesn't turn the ball over much. That's a positive as well. Like I said, he generates big plays as well, so that's a good combination. But he is still inconsistent. He just misses some throws. Missed a couple deep shots early in the last game. He'll randomly miss like some underneath throws here and there. I think there's been improvements there, but he's still a bit of a work in progress just from an accuracy standpoint. Now, I like what I've seen in the play action game. Get him under center, throw those balls over the middle of the field. The middle of the field passing game, I think, is in a really good spot right now. But there's just misses, and there's misses that, this time next year you're hoping don't happen, right? But I don't think all of a sudden we get to week 16, 17, 18, he's going to be a 75% guy. Can you be in the more like 63 to 65% guy the rest of the way? Certainly possible. If they catch a few more balls, that would go a long way. But it's still inconsistent. It's better, but it's inconsistent still. Okay. What did I put here? Most of your core lacks playoff experience. Now, you have 3 guys who've played in a lot of high-level games. Joe Thuney's won 4 Super Bowls. That's a big reason why I love that pickup at the time. Number 1, he's instantly your best offensive lineman, and 2, he brings a lot of credibility and winning to that locker room and to that position group. He's been an awesome addition. Grady Jarrett's played in a Super Bowl, played in a lot of playoff games, emotional leader. Yes, he's overpaid, but I think he brings value in those areas. If the Bears do get into a playoff situation, he can be kind of someone you lean on from an emotional standpoint. And then Kevin Byard played in a lot of playoff games in Tennessee, played in one with Philadelphia as well. He's seen a lot in this league. So you do have a few guys, but not many. I mean, Caleb Williams never played in a playoff game. Rome Odunze, even DJ Moore. I don't think he's ever played in a playoff game. He's been in the NFL like 7 years. Cole Kmet played in one his rookie year when the Bears were in 8-18. Like a lot of your key guys, even guys who have been here, Jalen Johnson, one game his rookie year, like they have not played in playoff games. So, a lot of time you see these teams have these breakout years and then they flop in the playoffs, right? Because they're just not ready for the moment. Matt Ryan's a good example. They had a lot of good teams and he kept losing. And he finally broke through. They got to the Super Bowl. So it's hard. It's hard to, make the playoffs that first time and go on a legitimate run that first time. Justin Herbert still hasn't won a playoff game. So it's nice to have a few of those veterans, but a majority of your core is not played in the playoffs, and that matters. It's a different heart rate when you're playing in the postseason when knowing if you lose, it could be the last game of the year. So there you go, kind of reasons the Bears are real, reasons they're not. I think there's arguments on both sides. I'll ask you again, are the Bears for real? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Curious what Bears fans think currently. I'll tell you this, you beat Pittsburgh and Philadelphia the next 2 weeks. I think that totem's going to be pointing in the for real direction even more. I do think there's real ingredients that translate, which I pointed out. I do think there's, valid reasons to question how real the Bears are. They're not a complete fake team. Like, this is a real team that has a chance to make the playoffs. How real are they? That's what we're going to find out. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are here every single day with daily content. We go live every Monday, Thursday, and game day as well. So join us for those situations, and we'll see you soon. Bear down. All right. Shout out producer Cullen for suggesting that segment idea. I thought that was fun. So
Appreciate
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I can really see both sides of it right now. I don't think the Bears are a Super Bowl contender. I do think they're a playoff contender. I think they're a team that if they got the right draw could win a playoff game. But we'll find out these next 6-7 weeks. They go 4-3 the rest of the way, which means they went 5-3 in this final 8. Like, I think that knocks you up a peg to maybe what you thought through the first half of the year. So I'm just excited we get to see, right? Like, it's
Exactly.
these games get bigger and bigger every week. So let's see if they step up to the plate.
So I'll flash the Bears' schedule again for their upcoming games. Obviously, you got a couple of graphics with these. You got obviously the Steelers upcoming this week. You got the Eagles at the Packers, and then you're at home versus the Browns.
Got to
Such a
go at
tough
least
game.
2-2 there.
And then following it up, you've got the Packers at home on Saturday, Sunday Night Football at San Francisco, and then the Lions to end the season in Chicago. In your opinion, is there a fork in the road potential game where, and I'll flash the other one if you want to, where depending on how a certain game goes, out of these final 7 could really be a momentum either lifter or deflator?
It feels like that Niners game is going to be the biggest in terms of, like, the loser of that game could just miss the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Bears are in position to win the division, so, I think as of now, the 2 Packers games and Lions ones are bigger. I mean, it probably is that Packers-Browns-Packers stretch because Cleveland's a team you should beat at home, but that's got, like, trap game written all over it. Like, I think there's been games that people have labeled trap games on the Bears' schedule, but I don't think they had kind of proven enough where opponents are trap games. Like, that Browns game screams trap game. You play the Packers, emotional game if you win or lose, then you play them again the next week. So it's like you can't really lose that Browns game, right? So, like, I think the path, you have to win at least 3 of your final 7. That gets you to 10. You got to beat the Browns, and you got to find at least 2 more. If you find 3 more, I think you're in. I mean, maybe you win the division, maybe you don't, but I would be stunned if there was a world where 11-6 didn't get you into the playoffs. If you win 3 more, if you only win 3 more, I think the Niners has to be one of the 3 you win. Because if you only win 3 more, you're not winning the division. Like, I don't think 10-7's winning the North. So I think it's probably you beat the Browns, you beat the Niners, and then pick another game. Doesn't really matter. I think if you go 3-4, but you lose the head-to-head to the Niners, I could see you just, like, both teams go 10-7 and they get the tiebreaker. I could see that being the case.
Weirdly enough, I feel like the most confident in the remaining Bears games, to your point, because with the Browns obviously being sandwiched in between the 2 FGB games, Steelers might be the most confident potentially.
At home, if Rodgers doesn't play, like, I know Rudolph looked solid last week, but, like, I mean, as long as you don't let DK just take over, like,
right,
they're going to have limitations. They're kind of an average running team.
Even with Rodgers, it's not like they're, lighting the world on fire. And, there's obviously some ways that you can kind of maybe frustrate the offense for Pittsburgh. But you set yourself up, to your point, if you want to go at least 3-4 down the stretch, obviously winning every game counts. It's a lot easier to say, and this is an obvious statement, but you win this game against Pittsburgh, all you have to do is win 2 more games out of your final 6.
And you have Cleveland on the schedule. Like, the easiest path to winning 3 games is Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and then you just finding a
division game. Find either one of the Packers games, maybe the Lions. Yeah. San Francisco could be a potential one if Purdy's dealing with an injury, but I to be honest, I don't think the Eagles are quite at the level everyone's thinking they are.
No, I think that's a winnable game.
It's a very winnable game.
Would I pick the Bears today to beat them? Probably not, but that is absolutely winnable. There is a world where the Bears win that game.
Ooh, a little Ben Johnson quote from Ari.
What he said.
The 50-50 opportunities. Did you see that one? Says, I'm not a big fan on 50-50 balls. You can look at my track record of calling games. We like to get guys open more than just throwing it up for grabs. It's not what we want to be about.
Well, he said it in training camp. He said, we want to get the guy ball in space, yards after the catch. Problem is they're dropping those too. So, yeah, I mean, there's times for that, but I think his philosophy is like, it's my job as the play caller to get guys open. And he does a pretty good job of that. So, obviously there's situations in a game where you got to give a guy a chance one-on-one, obviously. But I also think the Bears have enough skill talent with Burden, DJ Rome, Colson, to get guys open.
Yeah.
So.
This will be tough. I think going up against Pittsburgh, as we're kind of shifting towards this upcoming week, the Steelers' defense has played a lot better. Obviously, moving Jalen Ramsey into that kind of high safety spot. They obviously traded for Kyle Duggar, who's been pretty good for the Steelers, ironically.
Yeah. He's fit well in that scheme.
TJ
Watt's picked it up.
I will say this. Need to stay ahead of the chains and need to stay ahead of the script.
Don't want their pass rushers teeing off on third down.
You don't want, similarly to kind of how you got off to a slow start against Minnesota where you miss a couple deep shots. You kind of sit there, maybe get out of the rhythm. You were pointing it out during the first quarter of the Watchy. Run the football more. I feel like Pittsburgh's going to have
as the game went on, Ben did that, but early, I'd be trying to establish the run early in this game.
I would agree.
Start that wear down process in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think
if the Bears can get ahead and start to wear them out a little bit, especially if it's Mason Rudolph, there's probably going to be some 3-and-outs in there. You would think. Yeah, you can just wear on them as the game goes on. I would think.
Yeah, I think it's establishing the run up the middle. And I'm really looking to attack the sidelines and maybe just kind of stretch Pittsburgh's defense out a little bit. Caleb's just got to make sure he hits the layups, and there could be room for success.
Yep. I haven't looked yet at a weather report. I will do that. All right.
Almost 2.5 hours.
Good stream, boys. This was fun.
It's a good time.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We will be back live Thursday unless there's major breaking news between now and then. But we'll have content every single day, so subscribe. Check out the channel, content tab. All our videos are right there. See you guys soon. Bear down.